So freaking cold here, but I hate wearing a jacket when I'm live streaming because I usually end up getting hot. Then I have to try to like finagle it off and fucking put it somewhere. But it is so, I just now got the office so I can take off a fucking jacket and stream. And it's gonna be even colder now. I'm gonna have to fucking, I'm gonna have to leave a heater running. I usually don't. I'm about to say screw it with Facebook and just stop streaming there. I kept it going because that's where my parents like to watch, and I don't know, but...
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose
me stop the music and start Facebook, I guess. For now. For now. Stupid ass Facebook. It is so freaking cold here, guys. Like, I know people are like, I'm from Canada or whatever. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. I'm from Tennessee, and it's not supposed to be this cold here. It took me forever to get the office warmed up. Not happy about it, as you can hear, I'm assuming, but I'm here. It took forever just to get the office warm enough to where I could, I like streaming in a jacket, so it took it forever to get it warm enough to where I could just take off my jacket, and that's why we're here. That's why we're late. That's why we're here, but we're here.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will. God, why is everything freezing? I am Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. 858-652. Hold on. Thank you for joining us. I'm complaining to Facebook. That's what I got going on currently. That was my that was my security code I was sending to you guys. So let's do that. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. It is freezing here. It's gonna be 4 degrees tonight. Which is not normal, and it was just dropping all fucking day. Like all day, it started out, and it's just dropped since literally sunrise. We typically don't have that happen, but we're here, so I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to leave a heater running tonight and water running here at the office. I typically don't leave a heater running here either, but I'm here for now, I guess. Let's just link my PayPal account. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'm Will Barr, this is Cold Beer Confessional. We got some stuff to go over tonight. Greg Bovino, you can see that people are taking this shooting differently. I think they had enough wiggle room in the Renee Good shooting to say, oh, well, she hit him with the car. This guy didn't look like he did shit to anything, right? Is the house warm? Yes, the house is warm. This guy didn't look like he did a damn thing to anybody. And businesses are setting up, okay? They're stepping up. Even the NBA made a statement on it. Greg Bovino is now being removed from his position, sent back to a different position, and basically he's pushed to retirement. But you know he didn't want to retire in the middle of this. He's the face of this. The reason he's currently retiring is because he's losing his position. He's getting sent back to California, where the fuck he's from, and then he'll be retiring shortly. So that's where we're at. It seems like it's amazing that this is what it takes to make any fucking kind of change. But goddamn, maybe something will come of it. I hope the state really pushes to get involved in the investigation. I hope the state brings charges. And if they're going to make them use the supremacy clause is like, hey, he's a federal agent conducting federal business. The state can't interfere with this. You know, it's the federal government. That is fine. Make them use the supremacy clause. Spend the money, use the hours, the manpower, go to court, right? Then make them invoke the supremacy clause. But before we get to all that, Ryan Upchurch is losing his fucking mind, bro. I know I say this all the time. I think what he did today was he found a bunch of old screenshots he didn't know he took. Now, I could be wrong, but I think what he's done today is he went into iPhotos, he synced an old cell phone that he had, or that someone had, I think it was him, to his iPad, and then he went through all the old photos, and he thinks he's got all this new evidence. So if we click on his story, it'll say, well, not that one. It'll say this one. Dude, wait till you see what I found. Big announcement coming. Wait till you see what we need to start acting like we are in the majority. We don't need strongly worded letters. We need action and dirt bags and handcuffs. It's Tom Burchett from Tennessee. I'm embarrassed as fuck. Your bloodline waited centuries for a motherfucker like you to wake up. All right, so let's go back to his page. I got it muted because it's all copyright music, but let's go back to his page, and we'll start here. I think it's this first one. I have so much. Let's see. I think we already watched this.
Man,
one.
the things I got to go through to keep my small, cute little family safe. But you know what? I'm so fucking glad I do it. Let me show you something real quick. You want to talk about fucked? You want to talk about fucked? Okay, well, hey, Cheatham County, you about to see something crazy as hell. Watch this.
Well, they always do a fuck. Yeah, we have seen this. This is where his childhood best friend been together all their lives until Dierdorf is like, man, he's acting crazy. He's on fucking drugs, and everybody leaves him. Then he claims he kicked them all out, and he accuses them of working with other well-known musicians to fucking have him assassinated or something. He's definitely spiraling. So his lifelong friend is taking him to court, basically for defamation, right? We saw that one. This is the new one.
So last night, at Ingledorf, I posted something I found out. I went on Onyx Hunt, and I seen that for some reason his property is listed under Blue Moon Entertainment, which is weird because that's
So the house that Dierdorf lives in was originally purchased by Ryan Upchurch, or Ryan Upchurch's company. And they gave him that house. They made a big deal of it. Like, hey, I made my first money. I get to buy my best friend a house. Dierdorf worked for him at the time. It was his best friend, childhood best friend. Put him in a house, bought him a house, all that stuff. So when Ryan goes on Onyx, which is like an app that like hunters use a lot, or hikers, or four-wheelers. Like if you go, like, we call it mudding, like driving in the woods or whatever, off-roading, I guess is what it's really called. You use this website, and it a lot of times tell you, like, if it's federal land, state land, if it's a public road, a private road, and then it'll tell you who owns that property plot. It's not super updated, okay? So I don't know if Ryan's company still technically owns that plot of land or not. They use tax records and tax record filings. Tennessee is notoriously bad about not updating those online, so I don't know if they send somebody down to every fucking courthouse to request every fucking plot of land or what. But that's what they use. I know someone was saying that Onyx updates like the fucking census. Like it updates like every 4 years, so who knows? But he said he went and used this app, looked at the land that Dierdorf lives in, which is weird to begin with, right? And you claim he's your enemy, he's trying to have you killed, he's suing you, and now you're looking up the land he lives on with a fucking satellite map, but whatever. And he says that his company still owns Dierdorf's land.
a booking company my mom set up a long time ago, like a long fucking time ago. That was back when what is Truist now, Truist Bank was called SunTrust. It was a booking company. That's why my mom had I think she had Blue Moon Patty, Chad and Chelsea had Chad Blue Moon and Chelsea Blue Moon on Instagram. And it's just weird that Dierdorf's property is under Blue Moon.
He acts like this Blue Moon company has been around for like 10 years. This Blue Moon company was who he went after when he went after his mom in court. So it was around like last fucking year.
LLC, like right now. So anyway, Dierdorf made a comment.
It may still be around. I don't know, but it definitely was last year.
It's just like very odd. Take pictures so you can post all over TikTok, Skype, and whatever fucking app you are or are not locked out of.
So he left this comment. It says, still waiting. Probably calling all your paid friends right now going, hey, screen record, take pictures so I can post all over TikTok, Skype, or whatever fucking app you are not locked out of. No one fucking cares. Now, Ryan's going to say this is an attack or some type of hidden message, but I think Dierdorf is making fun of him when he says whatever fucking app you are or not locked out of, because Ryan's always on. Ryan can't use technology. He can't get into TikTok, and his Instagram's been banned like 50 times. We're going to see that in a minute. He doesn't keep his own passwords. Somebody has to keep them for him. It's crazy. It says no one fucking cares about your lies anymore. Once a motherfucker knows the real you, they run for the fucking fences. I just hate it took me so long, and then it cuts off. Or so fucking long.
No one fucking cares. What a weird comment. Whatever apps I am locked out of or not locked out of? Well, that's a really odd thing for you to say, first off. It's especially odd.
You have to think of Ryan like the biggest Q-tard in the world. So, like, if I text Ryan and I was like, hey, woke up this morning and saw it didn't snow. He'd be like, didn't snow? Didn't snow? What is snow another name for? Cocaine. And it rhymes with blow. So it didn't blow? It didn't blow up? You planted a bomb in my house and it didn't blow up? Like, that's all Ryan does all day long.
since Chad called Sonny yesterday because I was over here bitching about getting locked out of my fucking accounts and them not being able to get back into them. So that's very weird that you would say that. Especially
You guys remember
if you sent
he was making videos about Command Shift and calling them CDM Shift. But that's who he's going to go off on now. And it's more secret recordings.
me a fucking thing to go to court, the cop pulled up here and served me a fucking paper ratchet. He gave it to Chad.
So we get to see the cop pull up and serve a summons. This doesn't really matter. It's a civil court summons. You can serve it to any adult at the house in Tennessee, I believe. Cop brings the paperwork. Says, are you an adult at this house? Yes. Hands him the paperwork. Shakes his hand. Pleasure serving you. Out of here. I don't know why we needed this.
And Chad brought it in here and gave it to me. And it apparently says you're taking me to court. Okay, well, if you have this court summons that I have here at my house, where you're like, I'm harassing you and saying all this shit, why the fuck are you on Instagram?
Well, because you're telling lies about him, defaming his character, accusing him of murder and shit like that. He's saying, hey, this guy's crazy. It seems like he's lied to a bunch of people. Every time somebody figures out who he is, they leave. I don't know if that's defamation, but okay.
Being like, fuck you, I'll fight you, blah, blah, blah. If you're supposed to be taking me to court for that very funny thing. Not only your out of the way extra comment of being like, well, these apps that you can get into or maybe can't get into, it's also weird because of that cell phone thing that happened the other day, where this random iPhone just ended up in Blake.
Where he found his old cell phone in his old truck. This is all evidence of a conspiracy against him. He found his old cell phone in his old truck.
Truck, and you can't say that ain't fucking true because it is true. There's body cam footage from an officer named Darius, case number 260122-0012, sitting right here of Blake saying he found it in his truck and Blu-ray saying he set the fucking phone up. And if that ain't good enough, I got outside cameras that filmed the cop coming here, and I had a camera sitting up here filming the entire fucking thing. We still haven't figured out who put the phone in Blake's truck. Well, you're over here talking about apps you could get into or couldn't get into. Well, here's the thing. Here's the great.
It's just entertaining to me when someone, I know some of y'all probably don't give a fuck about Roundup Church. When someone catalogs, like captures and documents their entire downfall, it's mesmerizing. I can't look away. It's like watching a crash, like a plane crash. This is bigger than a car crash. He's a fucking, a star to some people. It's like watching a plane crash for a year and a half.
Part about this, whatever this phone was, one of y'all accidentally fucking hooked it.
And the people that are sticking around him, why is nobody like, hey, fucking tweaker, goddamn, let's not do that. Let's just make music and put it on social media. The thing that you're famous for, and bring in millions of dollars and get some rehab.
To this iPad right here. And you know what? They weren't supposed to sync to it. You know how you know? Because some of these messages are talking about me. Some of these messages, it's visible on who the two people are.
All right, so he claims his old phone synced to his iPad, and these are all old iMessage photos or whatever. They just look like screenshots, to be honest with you, but okay.
So now I got a bunch of fucking context that I didn't have before. Like, look at this one. This one is between Mercules and somebody else. Look at this. Why did you put me in that? Quit sending me winky faces, player. Now you're gonna act tough when I have a video of you running from an altercation. You think I can physically run? That's rich. My fault, Waddle. Thanks for correcting me. Well, let's do.
It seems like two people were fighting and arguing in text messages and going back and forth and kind of joking, kind of fighting, kind of arguing, and it's a screenshot.
Just heading to the lab now. Good shit, buddy. Hope you and 11,000 people that here to enjoy it. Guess we will see Canuck. What else?
Canuck.
Don't think because I'm in Canada I don't know all the skeletons in your closet. I gave you one bar on a song that wasn't even about you. Be careful. Be careful that can of worms you open.
God damn, he can't read either. Remember, I've got this sped up at 1.5 times speed.
I'm just happy you won't be calling me 3 times a week anymore. Thought you got the hint the first 100 times I didn't pick up. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm not sure, but I do know this. Didn't Deerdorf get into it with the Mercules guy? Yes, he did. Don't think I don't have proof of that. He did. So why are these messages between Mercules and somebody else on this iPad? Because it has to do with that phone that randomly popped up. Deerdorf, do you know about that? Because when that happened, that's when we started yapping. And somebody was sending proof of them hacking
He called him Canuck because he's Canadian, right? The Mercules guy is Canadian.
stuff to somebody else. I can prove that as well. Look at this.
So this is a screenshot. It says the owner of this item will be able to see its location. You are connecting to an item that's paired to someone else's Apple ID. I'm assuming this is when he connected it to the fucking iPad.
Well, who in the fuck did that, Dingledorfin? Funny that all these events just played out and there's proof of all of what I'm saying. And you're like, well, the apps you could or could not get into? That don't look good. So speaking of apps that I can or can't get into, right? You know I've been bitching about my Instagram. Sonny definitely knows I've been bitching about it, especially since I was
Whenever he says Sonny, he's talking about Command Shift, which he can't even spell the letters to it right, but that's who he's talking about.
talking about it right here yesterday and fucking cussed him out on fucking Instagram. But check this out. Since
Cussed him out on Instagram, remember that.
phone popped back up and this motherfucker saying, look at this.
No company wants somebody as like, especially like a company that's just like a background company that musicians use and social media. But Ryan Upchurch's got a big following. No company wants you dogging them out on the internet. So of course they're going to be pissed when you make up all these crazy accusations about a company.
Somebody screenshot my analytics and sent it to somebody on November 20th at 1:31 a.m. Something went wrong and they were doing something with Meta, whatever the fuck that is, on my Instagram. Wonder who.
Whatever Meta is, who knows?
So then if you go here, they were at step 3, it looks like. And then look what this says. Subscribing to Meta, verified will unsync any previous synced profile information like name, profile, picture, avatar. Changes you make to your profiles, info elsewhere won't be applied to this profile. So Sonny, who fucking changed the Instagram, motherfucker? Because what do y'all know? Bro, this iPad's got multiple people's messages on it. Where you can see who both people are. November 3rd, 2024, 6:24 p.m.
Real ones don't rate. That's right.
And Jody Hendricks. This is a conversation between a dude named Joe Sticks and Jody Hendricks. I thought the Sticks was cool with Adam. I'm confused. Like, what?
This is a screenshot of a screenshot, by the way.
Finally had to give up and leave Chicago. This is a message from Rocky Luciano and somebody else. He said, appreciate you, brother. You already know they knocking.
Screenshot.
Surprise them and have you on my next album. Because they hop in on it for me. The fuck? Who the fuck is he talking to? I'm not on his fucking album. I would never fucking do music with this stuff. But who said?
You notice there was a thing right there that said reacted to your story. He doesn't show what that is. I'm almost positive it's going to be one of Ryan Upchurch's stories.
The fuck?
It would show the little preview of the story right here.
Who the fuck is he talking to?
Oh, we don't get to see that, do we?
I would never fucking do music with this stuff. But who said they were going to become a fucking rapper? And who was friends with Rocky Luciano? Deerdorf. Another fucking Deerdorf scenario. There's messages between Demon and somebody. Demon Jones. What else? Fucking...
We're about through this one.
Yeah. A fucking account and routing number on October 8th. Zach Taylor, October 8th, what do you know? Apparently Rob's statement when all that shit happened at the ranch when the fucking dude wrecked the car. Odd thing is that he put a different phone number.
Someone took a picture of a police statement they had to make.
But he signed
That makes sense.
on 10/3/24. Look at this. Whoever took this picture was standing right beside the cops and the suspect that wrecked the car. I wasn't never standing that close to these people. Whoa. These motherfuckers synced all kind of shit.
So Ryan admits that he was there, but he was never that close, so he couldn't have took that picture. He forgets about Zoom, but whatever.
Look at this. Oh, man. This video would be fucking 2 hours long. I'm gonna go through all this shit. Bro, ain't no fucking way. September 9th, 2024. What do you know?
It's a selfie. That would be, that's Deerdorf. That's his cousin. I don't know that guy.
Deerdorf taking a selfie. Not Deerdorf. How did this goddamn picture get on here? Did you put that phone in Blake's truck? Because, I mean, you're the one taking the selfie, brother. You can see it in your glasses. Oh, my God. The universe loves me. So last night, Dingledorf, I posted something I found out. I went on...
You've told us before, Ryan, you can read the other people's comments on here, man. You've told us before that your accounts keep being hacked and deactivated, but I've been listening to your music for a long time and watching your comedy on Vine, and I've commented on plenty of things, even sent you a few messages, and it took this kind of comment to get you to respond. You didn't appreciate none of the good, and you call the same blue collar you defend and stand up for retards. And I ain't one on here bashing or anything. I was just making a statement, but since I got your attention. Damn. All right. Now on to the new one. This is his fight with Command Shift. Now, who is Command Shift? Command Shift is his online distribution. So I don't know if they send shit to like Spotify and stuff, but one thing I know they do for sure is every time I get a copyright strike, from Ryan Upchurch, it's from these Command Shift people. They have a bot that searches YouTube and finds any of their clients' music and sends a fucking copyright strike to them.
Sonny Finley, CDM Shift. Y'all motherfuckers owe me a lot of...
By the way, CDM Shift. Listen to him say it. He topped it out correct, but listen to him say it.
Sonny Finley, CDM Shift. Y'all motherfuckers owe me a lot of fucking money.
Is he doing it on purpose?
And guess what? If you don't give it to me, I'm taking you bitch-ass motherfuckers to federal court. All right, explain this.
So this is insane, just seeing stuff like this. I'm assuming they get paid monthly, but it says, just seeing this is wild. This is back in, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. $227,000 in royalties. $227,000 in royalties.
CDM Shift.
He buy a lot of drugs with that.
Who the fuck is this payment to? I know it says Dear Upchurch Enterprises, but Upchurch Enterprises is not the name of the company that my money goes to. But Upchurch Enterprises is Dear Upchurch Enterprises. This payment to? I know it says Dear Shift. Who the fuck? Explain this, CDM Shift.
CDM Shift. It's written right there. He says CDM Shift.
Who the fuck is this payment to? I know it says Dear Upchurch Enterprises, but Upchurch Enterprises is not the name of the company.
And Ryan never signed with a label. So a lot of times if you sign with a label, like a record label, they'll say, oh, we'll give you, $10 million to make your album, blah, blah, blah. And you get like fucking pennies on the dollar for like royalties and CD sales and shit because they gave you all that money up front, right? And you're locked in for so many albums, so many songs, so many whatever, so many tours. Ryan doesn't have any of that. So he makes all of his fucking money, minus the other people that get royalties.
That my money goes to in both my music. Who in the fuck did you send this to? It's $250,000. Best regards, CDM Shift team. Because let me tell you something, motherfucker. Look at this.
CMD. This is from the 3rd of July, 2024. I'm almost positive Ryan got this payment.
This was July 3rd, 2024? Okay. So you already admitted to me that B. Loose was messaging you through my fucking...
Imagine your $250,000 payment didn't come through and you forget about it for 2 years. Take a second, chat. Imagine you're expecting a $250,000 payment to hit your bank account. But you get so caught up in day-to-day life, right? Taking the kids to school, whatever. You didn't notice that it didn't hit your bank account.
I have that. This is from July 3rd, 2024. So now watch when I go to my email to look for this fucking CDM Shift receipt that apparently got paid to me, right? Well, I wouldn't know, would I, Sonny? Because I can't even fucking look. For some reason, my fucking emails don't go back that far. They only go back to July 22nd, 2024, not July 3rd, 2024.
So he's searching for everything from July 3rd, 2024 to July 26th of 2024. And he's got it set on most relevance. And these are all the emails that he got. They're not in order, though, okay? Just because these are July 25th, this doesn't mean that that's the first one he got. They're sorted by relevancy. So I don't know what word he searched up here. We can't see. But he searched something by relevancy. So it's not going to be in order. And half of them are from the Trump campaign. The $91 million heist by Kamala Harris. MAGA flag from Trump, the most popular item in our store. MAGA shirt from Trump, almost sold out. This is the only official Trump Vance shirt. J.D. Vance, emergency broadcast. Christopher, you are the last line of defense.
So who did you send this music royalty money to? Is it music royalty money? I wouldn't know because I can't look up the fucking receipt. Y'all motherfuckers got rid of it. Dude, I'm
So he's basically calling him out as stealing from him or being part of this or something.
gonna fuck you motherfuckers so bad if you motherfuckers don't tell me what the fuck's going on, and if you don't tell me where the fuck this money
He was busy painting aliens. That's true.
went, I'm gonna fuck your life up. Sonny,
So, of course, now I've heard that Sonny's like a guy that nobody wants to fuck with. You know, he's like a tough guy or some shit. I don't know. That's just the rumors online. But any company would be pissed, right? Imagine you're fucking, I don't know, the guy that sprays for termites at your fucking house. Never says a word to you, goes to the fucking internet, and starts putting you on fucking blast for like not taking care of your kids, not paying your bills, and just all kinds of random shit that you have no context for. Well, Ryan calls him and decides to record that too. So here you go, chat. Little special gift from me to you.
okay, look, it's simple as this.
Oh, it's
It
not
is
yet.
okay for you to have your nose in your business.
Watch.
Okay? Recently,
It's okay for you to have your nose in your business.
didn't like me having my nose in my business. And now I have my nose in my business, and I'm asking questions. It is okay for you to ask questions about your own business, especially the people that you're doing business with. In my case, a distribution company, especially when it's something serious that involves something like your photo ID that they claim they have.
Oh, sorry. This says the original app. So this is the guy that helped him. They do social media stuff, okay? They do social media stuff. Holy shit, you were plowing driveways at -10? Fuck that. Anyways, Command Shift does social media stuff. So one of the things Ryan asked him to do is get back his Instagram. I don't know if you guys remember, but way back in the day when I was first covering Ryan and Johnny Gobbler and all that shit, Ryan got banned from his Instagram account. He's been banned from a couple, but this was like his main one. Okay, it had a bunch of followers on it. So what happened was he put out, I'll give $10,000 cash to anybody and get me back into Instagram. Forgetting he had a company that does this. So, of course, everybody tried and contacted Instagram, whatever. Well, the company did it. And one of the things you need now to verify an account, like to get a blue check mark as like you're the person that the account says it is not just paying on Twitter. Like on Instagram and Facebook, a lot of times you need your driver's license. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't at all. Sometimes they'll ask you to send a screenshot of like your Twitter account, right? Because not everybody's account's attached to their driver's license, right? If I'm Gunther Engelman or whatever that fucking retard's name is, or say I'm the older millennial and no one knows my real name, the driver's license wouldn't help, right? Anyways, so sometimes you need your driver's license to verify accounts, sometimes you don't. Back then, they're getting to where they require the driver's license more often now if your account is based on your name and you're a known public figure. But it's been laxed in the past. Anyways, they got his account back. When they got his account back, he had opened a second account called Ryan motherfucking Upchurch. They merged that account with it. And then a third, smaller account he had also opened called Cheatham Church. They merged all those three accounts together. Command Shift was able to get Instagram to do that for him and verify him. So here we go. That's the backstory. I'm going into the text messages now. Okay. It says the original @Ryan Upchurch Instagram got deleted by Instagram. It was non-recoverable. You started a new Instagram called Cheatham Church, and you got kicked out of it sometime later. In this convo, I spoke to Meta to recover your Cheatham Church account. They had not completely destroyed it yet. It was just suspended. So we got that account back for you. Then since Ryan Upchurch handle was available again, we had them rename it to Ryan Upchurch and verify the account. Ryan says, with what license did you verify it with? Cheatham Church didn't have that many followers on it. And he says, with yours. If we used the license, it was definitely yours. It couldn't be mine. Ryan thinks that they have so when a company says, hey, I'm going to need your driver's license, do you mail them your physical fucking driver's license? Do they keep your plastic card driver's license? Is that what they do? Or do they make a copy of it or take a picture of it? Holy fuck. Ryan thinks they have a physical fucking license of his. But back to the story. He says, with what license did you verify it with? Cheatham Church didn't have that many followers on it. Sonny from Command Shift says, with yours. You had probably given it to me previously. This wasn't the first time we got accounts recovered for your Instagram. I actually verified your original Ryan Upchurch account. You ultimately lost that account entirely because Instagram suspended it and they deleted it. Ryan says, okay, send me a picture of the license that you used. Sonny responds and says, you had another account on Instagram called Ryan MF Upchurch. I requested to Meta that they merge that account with Chisholm Church. They did. So that's 2 accounts that got merged together. So he's trying to explain to him why you have more followers now. I think Sonny says with yours, he probably should have said, because Ryan's trying to decode everybody's text, he should have said, if they required a license, it would have been a picture of yours. I didn't use my license. I didn't use a random person. It would you're Ryan Upchurch. No one else could verify the account with their ID. But Ryan's, because he's going to come back later and say, maybe we didn't have to use your license. I don't remember. And Ryan's like, no, you said it was with mine. You said you had my license. But anyways, back to it. Ryan says again, what license did you use of mine? If I wasn't around to hand you my license, it's not in the screen recording. He says, I'm looking for that now. Either you or maybe B-Lou sent it to me. I'll find it. I can't find your ID. It's possible it was sent from one of your older phones, or maybe I deleted it after I used it. I don't like leaving photos of people's IDs laying around on my devices. Back in 2022, Meta didn't always ask for an ID to verify either. It was more random if they would ask for it or not. He says, or a phone I didn't know about that ended up in a truck in Antioch. You see what I'm saying? No. Sonny says, I can show you all of the tickets from Meta support where I was making the requests, getting it verified, etc. It's your Instagram, not some fake Instagram with your name on it. You seem pretty excited about it in the text conversation to get this done back then. You were excited when I got, your Instagram back. Now you're mad. Ryan thinks they gave him someone else's Instagram. Not that it would fucking matter. Like, it's your Instagram now, dude. Ryan says, I'll be excited when you show me this ID. Otherwise, this is a huge issue, because if it's the ID that's reported stolen, that's not going to be good. What? Sonny says, I'm not suggesting that the phone issue is not concerning. I'm just saying, we are in business together. Command Shift is your music distributor. What incentive would I or Command Shift have to plant a phone in a truck somewhere? Not sure how you think we are somehow tied to this. Ryan says, I didn't say that. I've only said be loose. Sonny says, Ryan, you asked me to help you recover your Instagram. I did what you asked and went above and beyond and got your old handle back too. Got it re-verified and got a lot of the fake pages taken down. Ryan says, but if I guess I can make this bigger. I'm having trouble reading anyways. But if B-Loose handed you a stolen ID, that's an issue, especially with all the other things with B-Loose. Like the TikTok that's verified, you got to have an ID to do that. If it was in Brandon's email and you was able to retrieve it, that puts you in the loop of a stolen ID. Because TikTok is verified. Yeah, he's trying hard to be professional. He loses it in a minute. We didn't need an ID for TikTok. Jared can explain that. Hold on. No, I'm done playing games. I want to know what ID you used. Then there's a screenshot of the Instagram account sent. And he says, Jared didn't need your ID. TikTok asked to see a screenshot of your Instagram in edit mode. So this is like, so you're the owner of that Instagram account in edit mode. So Chad sent this to Jared. Well, you still had to have the ID for Instagram to verify the TikTok. So once again, what ID did you use? Oh, I missed one. What ID did you use? Damn it. Stop it. And Sonny responds back, we don't always have to have an ID. Back several years ago, they rarely asked for one. I might have had to have me ID to get your Instagram verified the first time, which was the original Ryan Upchurch account. They never asked for it to re-verify, like in the case where you lost your original IG and created another one. So it's been years. And Sonny's like, I don't know. Maybe it was I had your ID for the first time we got you verified, and maybe I didn't. I don't remember. But anyways, no matter what, if your account got verified with an ID, it had to be yours. And I can't make one. So you or somebody near you sent it to me.
Never is you sticking your nose in your business and asking a very simple question that is serious on your behalf. Never should it be a problem like this.
We set up a TikTok for you, but it was under Brandon's email address. You told us in my office to do that.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't to a tweaker. But he said, what was just said is Sonny said, on the TikTok account, you told us to set it up under B. Luce's name. I've got witnesses that said, you said use B. Luce's email because you always lose the login to everything, which Ryan has said himself. Okay?
Why?
Because I don't know, Ryan. You were in a meeting. You said, well, man, I lose my phones all the time, so just set it up under B. Luce's email and phone.
He don't know, and then he automatically knows.
So I can get back into it in case I lose my phone again.
Well,
so I can get back on it in case I lose my phone again. So Ryan's tweaked out, doesn't remember anything. Remember, this is the same guy that forgot that he made his letter, or his lawyer write a letter to another person, and then when he got the bill for that, he's like, I've never said that. But like 3 months ago, we got the video of you saying it live. Like, what?
I would have to do that when I could just call y'all for the login.
You were at our office, and I've got witnesses. Jared Morgan.
Now, just the word witnesses, because Ryan's always thinking about suing people and getting people and assassins, and the ICE is going to come help him, and James Clapper's his fucking intel guy. Just the word witnesses sets Ryan off. Listen.
This is Jared Morgan, other people that were at the office who testified that you did that.
Yeah, somehow I've been to this office one time years ago, and they're going to remember that specific 3-second detail. No.
That you said, you directed our staff right.
Hey, listen, if you're going to be throwing around testifying shit, I'll fuck your shit up right now because you said...
I'm sorry, it's testify, not witnesses. Testify set him off.
Our staff right.
Hey, listen, if you're going to be throwing around testifying shit, I'll fuck your shit up right now because you said you got my fucking ID.
I don't have your ID right.
You fucking said it, dude.
Again, Ryan thinks they have his physical license. Why anybody would ever need that ever, even to send to Meta, right, to get Instagram verified. Ryan doesn't know that Meta's owned by Instagram. He's like, Meta, whatever that is. This is my Facebook. But anyways, the most they would have is a copy or a picture of it, which was probably deleted or shredded.
It's in the text message. You Sonny fucking goddamn Finley said you gave it to me. I guess I have to read it back to you, Sonny. Goddamn.
I know what you said.
No, it's what you said, Sonny, about the ID.
You had given it to me previously. This wasn't the first time we got accounts recovered for you at Instagram. He probably said, you either gave it to me or we didn't need it. He probably should have said something different because how anal Ryan is about this shit. When he's tweaked.
May or may not have used your ID. I don't remember. In the ticket that I submitted, it doesn't show that I submitted an ID for it.
It's not gonna.
So he said he went back to the tickets, sent Ryan those screenshots, and the tickets, it doesn't look like I had to submit an ID.
About the ID,
I may or may not have used your ID. I don't remember. In the ticket that I submitted, it doesn't show that I submitted an ID for it.
It's not gonna matter.
Well, I mean, what does the fucking ID matter anyway, Ryan?
Somebody having your fucking photo ID definitely matters. That's how identity fraud happens. If somebody has...
Ryan, you're big enough, you ought to have all your credit fucking locked at all times. You know that, right? No one should be able to steal your identity because your shit should be locked at all times. And then you call and unlock it when you're going to finance something, buy something, whatever.
Your fucking...
Your Instagram verified and restored because you got suspended probably because you were on there doing some dumbass shit like you're doing right fucking now.
Oh, I got your Instagram brought back. I got it unsuspended. You got it suspended because you're on there doing some dumbass shit like you're doing right now.
Dumbass shit like you're doing right fucking now.
What? Asking a motherfucker why he's got my ID?
No, making threats against me and my fucking company and shit. You think that's smart?
I think it's smart to ask why somebody's got your fucking ID.
Why don't you fucking call me then and ask me direct?
What does he think I'm doing?
Why don't you call me then and ask me direct? And Ryan's going to be like, as calm as he can be. Right? He's yelling at him right now, but as calm as he can be. What does he think I'm doing right now? I'm calling him. Is this not a cell phone in one hand and a cell phone secretly recovering in the other hand or recording in the other hand? No, you made a bunch of fucking videos claiming that they paid money to somebody else and not to you, and it was fucking 2 years ago, but you just now figured it out and blah. Like, you fucking drugged this company. What does he think I'm doing?
Call me then and ask me direct.
What does he think I'm
Making a fucking, what you're doing is making a video for social media. If you were just calling him to ask him direct, you wouldn't be secretly recording it with a second phone.
doing? I'm on the phone with him asking direct.
Instead of getting on the internet and acting like a fucking bitch.
Ooh, get on the internet acting like a bitch.
You're right. Listen.
Dude, you're spun out. I'm fucking dope or something. You need to go to rehab.
Why am I?
He says, dude, you're spun out or fucked up or something. You need to go to rehab. Ryan's going to say, how come when I just ask questions, people think I'm on drugs? Everybody always thinks I'm on drugs when I ask questions. No, bro, you need to go rehab.
You're right. Listen.
Dude, you're spun out. I'm fucking dope or something. You need to go to rehab.
Why am I spun out and on dope for asking what ID you have of mine after you tell me you have my ID?
You hear this shit? It's the same shit.
Or whatever the fuck you on. I don't care anymore.
The same shit.
Or whatever the fuck
Shit.
Or whatever the fuck you on.
It's the meth or whatever the fuck you're on.
I don't care anymore.
Drunkenism. Yeah, that's what it is.
And all these people have always been there for Ryan. Yeah, this is a company he pays, but they went above and beyond. They've tried to help him out. They've remained cool during all his other fucking outbursts. And now they're standing up. Ryan's trying to make them the bad guy. This is a business owner. He's going to talk to me like this?
Drug users, yeah.
Listen, look. It's the owner of a company. Look, you see that, y'all? This motherfucker don't know. He don't want to answer no questions.
Okay, well, I mean, every time I ask a question to one of these people, they're like, you're on drugs. I'm like, I'm just asking, like, what ID you have of mine that you said you had. Okay, look, it's simple as this. It is
That is Ryan Upchurch, everybody. I told you it'd be quick. If you don't like the Ryan Upchurch stuff, it's over. That was it. Wild, huh? And calling out these companies and fucking treating everybody like shit. I don't know. He's a fucking wild guy, I guess. He is losing it in real time. 100%. All right, moving on. Hope you got your fill of Ryan Upchurch. Ryan's insane.
So Caroline Leavitt, last week, CBS News did an interview, and Tony DeCopel, the new host, did an interview with Donald Trump for CBS News, of course. And this comes, of course, after CBS paid off the administration back in 2024 because of an edit of a 60 Minutes piece. It was total bullshit that happened, but they did pay them off after that, and after, of course, the installation of Barry Weiss. So this was not going to be an insanely hard-hitting interview. I think it is safe to say, and it certainly was not.
By the way, that example I gave of me texting Ryan Upchurch and saying, hey, it didn't snow today, and he's like, snow's like cocaine, and it rhymes with blow. That's another word for it, blow up. So you planted a bomb here? That was fucking fire, dude. That 100%. Ryan might make a video on that tomorrow.
Installation of Barry Weiss. So this was not going to be an insanely hard-hitting interview. I think it is safe to say, and it certainly was not. Yet after the interview, here is what Caroline Leavitt was caught saying to Tony DeCopel on tape.
So this is a secret or leaked audio. Caroline Leavitt, after this interview went through, and I'm guessing, I haven't watched it yet. I heard people share it, and I saw people talking about it. I'm guessing she like instructs them on how to treat Donald Trump or how to put a positive spin on it or not be too harsh on him, something like that.
Make sure you guys don't cut the tape. Make sure the interview is out in full.
Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah.
He said if it's not out in full, we'll sue your ass off.
Ooh, if it's not out in full, we will sue your ass off. The President of the United States can't cut out can't cut it for time, can't do anything. It's got to be 100%.
So first of all, I have staffed dozens, hundreds, thousands. I have no idea how many interviews in my life, including with all these same broadcast networks. That is never a conversation I have ever heard, I've ever been a part of. I don't even think has been possible before the Trump era that we're living in. And what it tells you is so much, because first of all, that is not going to be a hard-hitting interview. It wasn't. We all saw the interview. And second, these interviews are always edited. I mean, when I worked for Barack Obama, we would
always edited for time at minimum.
Do interviews of many hours long with 60 Minutes. And they would edit them down, of course, because the show, even in its totality, was 60 minutes and less when you count in all of the commercials. So 40 minutes, 42 minutes, or whatever it is. So they're always edited, which is just, and the evening news is 22 minutes. So of course, they're typically going to be edited. Now they put out a longer transcript online, and there's that, of course, and that shouldn't be edited. But it tells you a lot that the president of the United States is telling the press secretary who works for him.
Yeah, I talked so much shit about Jen Psaki back when I supported Trump, but yeah, she doesn't get enough credit.
To threaten legal action. And I love how he said, if it's not out in full, we'll sue your ass off. So he literally must have said that to her, and that is also quite telling.
And then we've got, first of all, I want to see this from a constitutional lawyer, two civil rights lawyers. Let's go here first.
They are willing to...
It's probably too long for us to watch all of it, but I want to get the gist of it. I was in Counterpoint's, Connor's chat today. And he's former law enforcement, but I did not. You guys remember the guy Grid? I was in a debate with Sage not too long ago, six months ago, something like that. And might not even been 6 months ago. There was a guy there named Grid, and he was the one who hadn't even read the documents that were released that were supposedly going to put Obama in jail. He comes on, and one of his comments is, you got to know that if, a cop just sees something that appears to be a gun on your body, they can shoot you. And they're going to get away with it. Yeah, it was Wick's debate, yes. So you guys are retarded. That's a retarded. So now you're open. What if I have a flashlight? What if I have a multi-tool? What if I have a cell phone? And a cop can just say it looked like a gun on his body. He didn't reach for it. He didn't grab it. He didn't make any moves to it. He didn't pull it out suddenly. He didn't do anything. It looked like a gun on his body. And that's a good shoot? And then I said, that's a ridiculous statement. He's like, what about all these people that get shot for their cell phones? That's a bad shoot. That's a bad shoot. If someone gets shot because you thought their cell phone was a gun, that's a bad shoot. Is there some little thing that's going to get you off in court legally? Maybe. It's still a bad shoot. I don't think anybody in the world that trains police officers would be like, yeah, we shoot people all the time with cell phones because we think they're guns. Those are all classified as good shoots.
Throw out your rights, whether they're Second Amendment rights, First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights.
Anyways, he was fighting with his chat, and I think he confused me with somebody because I left like 4 comments, and most of them were like saying hi to people in his chat that sometimes come to my chat. And the one that he read was the one where I was like, that sounds crazy. Anything that looks like a gun is justification to be shot, even if you don't reach for it or nothing. And Connor's like, yeah, he's been pissing me off all morning. So I checked my phone, and I had been there for like 9 minutes of a goddamn 4-hour stream. And he's like, he's been pissing me off all morning. I was like, whoa, maybe I'm going to get banned.
At a moment's hesitation if they think it stands between them being able to do something or them being wrong.
By now, we've all seen video clips showing the Alex Pretty incident from multiple angles, and we've also seen clips showing federal officials just clamoring to convince the public that what they've seen was completely justified, even prior to any actual investigation occurring. We see both sides pushing politics and sowing division rather than looking objectively at the facts to figure out what happened and then fairly applying the law. So I'll walk you through what we...
I hope Destiny talks to Connor.
Know happened based on the currently available video footage, and then let one of the best civil rights lawyers in the country, Patrick Giacomo, with the Institute for Justice, who's literally at the forefront of the efforts at holding federal officials accountable for civil rights violations, cut through all the BS, all the propaganda, and give you actual information that you need to know right now. And there's
oh my God, have you guys heard the song Heavy Foot? If you haven't, go check it out. I probably can't play it because of copyright issues. But there's a song, I shared it in Discord the other day as like a new protest song. There's a song that's really good called Heavy Foot. It's like I think the guy calls him an Appalachian is musician or something like that. Appalachian Afro musician. I don't know. It's actually a really good song. It talks about It talks about the news being a puppet, but you never see the strings. It talks about how Gaza is a genocide, but they're calling it a war. It's a good song. It's called Heavy Foot by Monrovia. MON space ROVIA. Monrovia. It's a really good song.
A lot of it that you are not hearing anywhere else.
People are watching the same video and, at least on my observation, seeing very different things. All these prohibitions in the Constitution, this is not negotiable. This is the absolute bottom line. You cannot cross this line if you work for the government.
Federal agents claimed that Alex Pretty, a 37-year-old...
It's not like fucking like, fuck us, we're going to kill it. Like, it's like, isn't this crazy? And the government's got the heavy foot, always trying to keep us down, and they're telling you this, but you see that, and it's a good song if you... I don't know if you're into that.
Intensive care nurse, quote, violently resisted them, and that the officers then fired, quote, defensive shots, killing him. But is that what really happened? Bystander footage appears to tell a different story.
So what made me stop being a Trump supporter? So everybody knows I got my star, or like got an audience covering what I call grifters. The people that are fucking lying and spreading rumors and misinformation, and it wasn't just QAnon, but a lot of it was QAnon. But I even covered like these wealthy pastors and shit. Anybody that I thought was feeding you full of shit, so you keep giving them money, basically, right? Well, it got really heavy leading up to the 2020 election on the QAnon grifters. So I was covering the QAnon grifters like crazy. Medbeds was one, yeah. I was covering the QAnon grifters like crazy. And I'd already started having doubts because I was having to go cover these fucking QAnon grifters and do all this fucking research to break down all the shit they were lying about, all the shit they made up, all the shit that they interpreted wrong, like all this crazy shit. And I would break all this down and be like, oh, that's all bullshit, but I still support Trump kind of deal. But then Trump started repeating it. Like, what does it say about me with the guy that I'm going to fucking vote for, right? Is I'm disproving all this shit, and then he fucking repeats it as part of his goddamn campaign. So I was already worried with that. Then the 2020 election happened. Then all of a sudden, all these people came out with the election was stolen, election was stolen, election was stolen. That's something like I want to look up, that I want to be like fucking looking into, that I was like, there's got to be evidence. There's no way we live in this fucking country. Somebody didn't get evidence. So all these people started coming out, and I was thinking like, there's no way they'd risk their like military career and their law license and their trust they have with their audience to just lie about this stuff. Like, it's got to be true. But every fucking time I looked at an example of what was going on, what they claimed was happening with the election was stolen, and researched it, it was a fucking lie. Trump was repeating them. His attorneys were repeating them. Everybody around him was repeating them. Everybody in the Republican Party was repeating them. And every time I looked something up, it was just a fucking lie. So at that point, I started questioning everything. Everything I'd always believed, everything that had been repeated to me, everything I'd learned. I grew up in like a super small town, and my parents would probably tell you they're Republican. My dad wore a Trump hat for a long time. They passed away, so they weren't as big an influence in my life, and I was doing this research, and it seemed like every time I tried to find research to back up a point that I believed or somebody on my side was using to justify a point, it was bullshit. It was just bullshit every fucking time. So I started questioning everything. It got much worse. And then January 6th happened, which is fucking insane, right? We can all agree that storming the goddamn Capitol because you don't like the election results and some old man pumping you up saying, you fight like hell. Like, it was fucking insane. There's no way that I could defend any of that. I was like, I'm fucking out. And then I just started doing more and more research. And again, all the stuff I had believed my whole life just because I had been told it, and I had seen somebody kind of confirm what I'd already been told, and then someone else confirms it, and then someone else confirms it. When you just look at the data, it's not there. It doesn't support that.
Resulting in what appears to be an unarmed man being shot. There was a really good frame-by-frame review of this in the Wall Street Journal today, which I will link below, that sticks entirely to what can be seen on these bystander videos. So this is what we know for sure that can be seen. And by the way, we would have much more information if these masked officers were wearing body cams.
Especially around all the QAnon stuff. When they started bringing in, like, I know a secret military, but I was in the military. That's just not how the military works. This isn't happening. I still have friends in, like, some pretty high up places in the military, and some fucking top tier fucking, like, operator friends that I can call and be like, hey, are you guys deployed to Dallas, Texas, picking up voting machines? No? Okay. Like, it was just crazy.
Not to, so we have what we have. The issue here is, was this use of force justified or was it not justified? It's not about whether Alex Pretty should have been arrested and charged with obstructing or impeding federal officers. It's not about immigration policy or even immigration enforcement.
Yeah, so a lot of the Republican argument now is like, he impeded. Okay. What do we do with somebody that impedes? Execute them on their hands and knees? That's what we do now? Let's say he did impede. I don't think he really crossed that big of a line, throwing his hand up and trying to defend that lady. Some cop could be a dickhead and throw him in a cell and get him in court for impeding a federal officer, whatever. It's not a death sentence, guys. Maybe a judge looks at that and says it's not impeding, but we took that decision away and put it in the hand of someone who heard one shot. By the way, even Fox News is claiming that now, a negligent discharge, which is what I've been saying the whole time. I do not see, unless this guy's like an evil psychopath who's like, I've always wanted to kill a guy, and now he's on his hands and knees in front of me. I can shoot him in the back. Like, it has to be, right? A negligent discharge. But anyways, like, we took that choice away. Let's say he was impeding. Let's say he assaulted an officer and then turned his back to him, got pepper sprayed and incapacitated, and 7 men couldn't hold him, take him down to the ground and secure his arms. 7 guys. 7 of your agents could take down one, I would say, smaller than average guy. Like, he didn't look like he had a ton of muscle on him. Let's say he's a goddamn bodybuilder. 7 of them can't take him down. Execution is not the answer.
Policy. It's about whether the decision to pull the trigger and shoot him multiple times, ending his life, was reasonable under the circumstances as the law requires, no matter the political atmosphere surrounding it. So what does the video show? On Nicollet Avenue around 9 a.m. local time on Saturday, locals blew warning whistles and filmed masked federal agents walking through Minneapolis's Whittier neighborhood. Bystander footage shows Pretty standing in the street where he appears to film with his cell phone while other people approach the agents.
When someone tells you, that was on the stream I was watching earlier this morning, he shouldn't have been in the road. Okay. He shouldn't have tried to help that lady. Okay. He shouldn't have tried to pick her up. Okay. He shouldn't have been on all fours while they were trying to grab his arms. Okay. He shouldn't have turned his back to the ICE agent. Okay. He shouldn't. Which one of those would you say constitutes a death sentence? An immediate put to death on the street sentence. I'll grant you all those, if that's what it takes. But which one of those would you say, if I did that, I would expect a cop to come up to me, put a gun to my head, and pull the trigger?
Seconds later, Pretty approaches the group shouting, "Hey," and continuing to film. As Pretty and the 2 other civilians walk away, one of the agents follows them. That agent then shoved somebody who appeared to be with Pretty. Pretty immediately puts himself between the fallen person and the officer, who appears to spray a non-lethal chemical agent on all 3 of them. As a struggle ensues, agents pull Pretty from the others. At least 5 masked DHS agents surround him and force him to the ground. Bystander footage shows one agent drawing his firearm and pointing it at Pretty.
This guy's, I think this guy had a negligent discharge. I know there's people saying that they think the victim's gun had a negligent discharge with the agent running away. And I know there's a case to be made around SIGs just going off by themselves. SIGs do go off by themselves, but it's a we've seen, it's like a slap, it's a drop, it's a something, right? Hold on. Somebody sent me a video on that. Hold on. This is it. It doesn't. I haven't seen one go off while someone's just pointing down the ground with their finger not on the trigger.
Put into the slide somewhere. Will it go off?
I think he had to shim this, and then he put a shim in it, and then does this. Hold on.
Put some input into the slide somewhere. Will it go off again? Will it release? Let's see. That's 3 in a row. Let me take the screw out. Number 4. Let's try it again. Let me show you. Fully functioning striker safety. All right.
They actually, I did a show on this when they got that airman killed. So they're issuing these to our soldiers, and they have this critical fall that SIG has been not only claiming doesn't exist, but also threatening to sue people who talk about it.
Should we do it with the magazine again? Let's put the magazine back in, and then we'll try the last one with the magazine out. Handy dandy trigger input tool.
So basically what he's doing is he's like just preloading the trigger just a little bit with a shim.
We are going to try to, dang, sorry about that. I'm trying to get over a sinus thing and a cough. We're going to try to simulate.
Maybe you got some dust or lint or some type of dirt buildup behind the trigger. That's what he's doing right now off camera.
All right, here we go.
All right, so he's got a shim, just barely pulling the trigger back, just nowhere near where it should be pulled to fire, but still. And there are people, this gun was customized, right? It had an RMR, it had custom scales from the factory, it had a custom slide from the factory. Maybe he had a lightweight trigger on it as well, which you would think may exacerbate this problem unless the aftermarket triggers actually fix whatever this problem is.
Again.
See that nail shoved in there? This is the trigger. This is a nail holding it just barely back. I think he measures it. It's like thousandths of an inch.
We are roughly, as we saw on the tabletop, I'm guessing we're roughly a millimeter.
Oh, a millimeter.
To less than a millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see if we can get it to go off again.
And manipulate the slide. That's a failure in the firearm. Like that's. But again, it's not just from running for it. You have to have some issue with the triggers. Maybe it could be dirt, it could be lint, it could be something. It could be a shim or something stuck in it. And then you have to jostle the gun in some way. There's also people that don't put a shim in the trigger and they just drop the gun and gun goes off once out of every 10 times. Like it's crazy. Back to the video. I think this guy is the one who shoots him dead in the back. And I think it's an accident. I think it's a negligent discharge. He did not mean to fire his weapon.
Around the same time, a different video verified by the Wall Street Journal shows Pretty pinned to the ground and agents appear to discover a firearm on him. In a statement, DHS said the officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. Less than a second later, one of the agents fires his weapon towards Pretty.
And there are still people like this piece of shit. Hold on.
The legal observer in Minneapolis that just got murdered.
Liberals are like children that discovered bad words. The minute they hear some new fucking term that was used in some obscure law 100 fucking years ago, they never stop saying it. Legal observer, huh? Legal observer was murdered? Could it be? I don't know. Maybe he pulled a firearm on federal officers. If you guys...
And the problem is there's no accountability for them repeating this shit. So what would make him stop it? He gets more views, he gets more comments, he gets more engagement, he gets more money. There's no way to regulate this. Why would he stop? Literally, I've tracked a meme, a right-wing Twitter meme getting attention, and older millennial doing a video on it. I've called it before. I've said, this meme is getting a whole lot of likes. I bet you he does a video on it, and the next day he does a video on it, okay? That's what he uses for his sources, are right-wing Twitter memes.
Could it be? I don't know. Maybe he pulled a firearm on federal officers. If you guys were unaware, that gets you shot. And just to be clear, not only did he pull the firearm, he clacked off a round. He pulled.
They're blaming him for the negligent discharge, for the first shot that gets fired. Not only did he pull a firearm, he fired it at federal officers.
That gets you shot. And just to be clear, not only did he pull the firearm, he clacked off a round. He pulled a gun and tried to shoot federal officers. Yeah, you get shot for that. That guy.
And this is what MAGA's running with. I was wondering why so many people, when I was in comment sections on Facebook, I told you I had to fucking stop commenting on Facebook yesterday. We're like, he pulled a gun. He shot at federal officers. He pulled a gun on federal officers. I'm like, where the fuck? They're just all repeating it. No one has evidence. 0 people have evidence of this because it doesn't exist. But they're all repeating it.
We have to stop pretending like we don't know how this works. If you try...
Yeah, and the dumbasses used the wrong... They used the wrong fucking video to make their fake. So they made an AI image of him holding a firearm up to a federal agent. But the video they used was the video that we talked about last night. That's like 2 or 3 minutes before the interaction actually happens. So again, you're asking me to believe that he pulled a gun, he stuck it to federal agents. They said, oh no, don't do that. He put it back up. And then later they got into an argument where he got shot.
To shoot a federal officer, they will shoot you back. Why are we pretending that we don't know this? Why are we pretending that this is some new fucking information that we've never heard before? And you think, oh, well, he was a legal observer. That's fine. Make up the terms you want. Go with whatever bullshit designation you want to give to each other. But you don't get to draw a gun on an officer and think you get to live.
The legal observer in Minneapolis who just got murdered.
And they're just going to keep repeating it. They don't care. Have you seen the video? No. I believe what the ICE agent said. They didn't even say that.
First of at least 10 shots within 5 seconds. As shots are fired, bystander footage shows another officer raising his firearm. A preliminary analysis of the video's audio by the Wall Street Journal suggested that a total of 10 shots were fired from a single semi-automatic firearm, according to Robert Marr, a forensic audio analyst at Montana State University. About a minute after the shooting, bystander footage shows officers shouting, "Where is the gun?" as they attempt to apply first aid to Pretty. At 9:04 a.m., a Minneapolis Fire Department rescue unit was dispatched to 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue for a possible ICE-involved shooting, according to Fire Department scanner traffic. And within minutes, rescue workers performed CPR on Pretty, who officials said died at the scene. At about 10:30 a.m., as the crowd grew, rescue workers were called to help someone who had difficulty breathing. It was related to chemical irritants used by ICE agents, according to Minneapolis Fire Dispatch audio. Hours later, Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino told assembled reporters that Pretty had approached the agents with a handgun, intending to, quote, massacre law enforcement. A reporter then asked when exactly the gun came out. This situation is evolving, Bavino said. This is under investigation. Those facts will come to light.
That's the same thing I said. He would have taken cover behind that white SUV and just fucking killed them all. If that's what he was doing. If Greg Bavino and Chrissy Numb's story is true, then he would have killed them all easily. Well, a lot easier than what he fucking ended up happening.
Patrick Giacomo, senior attorney with the Institute for Justice, is the primary person I wanted to hear from about this incident. He is the lawyer who just recently successfully took on the FBI when they raided the wrong home in Georgia, terrorizing an innocent family. He appeared before the U.S. Supreme Court on basic...
Also, there's a difference between, I heard someone say today, it was actually Connor, saying, if one of my family members called me and said, I'm going to go videotape and protest and blah, 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 whatever, and I'm going to take my gun with me, they would say, no, don't do that because you're asking for trouble. That's a whole lot different than, and I may say the same thing. Like, well, if somebody sees you with a gun, what's that going to do? Blah, blah, blah. MAGA doesn't give a fuck about that, but I may say the same thing. That doesn't negate, can an officer shoot me for just having a firearm?
Basically the same issues of federal officer accountability that we have here now. I knew that Patrick would be able to explain this much better than I could, and in a way that stands on principles of freedom, rather than one that is influenced by politics and political bias. In fact, this was such a great conversation that I just couldn't cut any of it out. And I think that you need to hear the whole thing and also share it with your friends and family. So let's get into it. Are you able to give me like a synopsis or a good summary of what is the legal standard here regarding whether or not this use of force was justified?
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the basic standard under the Fourth Amendment, we're talking about reasonableness, and the way that that's been interpreted is that before you're able to use deadly force, which of course, killing someone in the street is, you have to be in reasonable fear for your life or the lives of others. And there's some other exceptions for fleeing felons when you've witnessed a felony that aren't going to be applicable here. And so when we're talking about this particular killing in Minneapolis, the officers have to show that their actions were reasonable, and the reasonableness is going to be based on a reasonable fear that without shooting here, there was someone who would otherwise be losing their life or being seriously injured that would justify the...
I don't think they have that, right? It would be different if we've got a gun in his hand or trying to draw a gun.
Killing of someone.
I didn't hear you say that any part of that standard.
No one should have reasonable fear that someone was going to be murdered or substantially harmed with a gun in a holster.
Is whether or not the subject they're interacting with is armed in some way.
That's right. I mean, so the beauty and the frustration with the Fourth Amendment standard of reasonableness is that it's a flexible standard, of course. So someone having a gun is not a justification for a government official to kill them. Someone having a gun and pointing it at a government official is. And so there's a lot of gray area between those things. And the same can be true for any number of things. Of course, we've been talking about, potentially using vehicles as weapons as the government would characterize it, or people driving past government officials as other people might characterize it. And, everything in one of these scenarios is very hard to put into a nice legal box, which I think is for the best because reasonableness does need to be a flexible standard. But also it's very frustrating for people because certainly in this polarized polarized time, people are watching the same video and, at least on my observation, seeing very different things. And so you have situations where I think people who are acting in good faith, and of course there are plenty of bad faith actors too, are watching a video of, what happened with Renee Good or what happened with Alex Pretty, and two people see the same exact video. Now, I'm not talking about different angles or AI enhancement or whatever nonsense is going on. And people will look at the same thing and say, oh, nope, I'm looking for a reason to justify this, or I'm looking for a reason to find that it was actually a murder instead of a illegal shooting. And that's, I think, where a lot of the division lies right now.
Well, fortunately, there are multiple angles of the shooting that occurred. Based on your observation on what you see in those videos, what is your conclusion as far as what happened?
Yeah, so I mean, just to lay my bias on the table, of course, I'm a civil rights attorney, so I'm looking at these things with an eye toward government overreach, government abuse, and of course, in a situation where someone's been killed, it's easy to find that as a default. I'm still waiting to see what else we learn, and I kind of rolled my eyes at that in this particular instance when the first videos came out, because if you watch the video, at least from the perspective that I have, just seeing someone shot, I don't know, 9 or 10 times, especially 6 of which while he's laying prone on the sidewalk, it's hard to justify. And my overall view of the situation as we understand it today is that this was not justified. This was an unconstitutional killing, and it certainly would be a crime under several different statutes, and we can get into the legality of holding accountable federal officials. But here, there's no evidence that this man was trying to draw his weapon at the time he was killed. And I think actually the best potential defense of the government actions here.
You know what would protect ICE agents if he was trying to draw his weapon at the time he was killed? The weapon he didn't have, by the way. The weapon that was already gone. The weapon that he couldn't have been trying to draw. Body cams.
Is that when one officer removed the gun that I believe Mr. Pretty was illegally carrying, he appears to have discharged it, or at least there's a question about whether he discharged it. And then the other officer who actually killed Mr. Pretty was responding to that gunshot and thinking for some reason that maybe Mr. Pretty was shooting. Officer removed the gun that I believe Mr. Pretty was illegally carrying, he appears to have discharged it, or at least there's a question about whether he discharged it. And then the other officer who actually killed Mr. Pretty was responding to that gunshot and thinking for some reason that maybe Mr. Pretty was shooting. I think that's still hard to justify given the circumstances, given the number of agents that were around, given the fact that it appears on the video, at least the videos that I've seen, that the agent who shoots Mr. Pretty actually sees his colleague remove the gun and walk away from the scene with it. And so it's very hard, at least at this preliminary stage, for me to watch what happened in that video and not think that there was a constitutional violation because this shooting was not just.
Also, someone told me that I heard in a stream today that if you come up and said, if cops come up to deal with somebody and they disarm them, right, or see they have a gun and get that gun away from them, they're always going to assume you have another gun. So if you make any moves, you're getting shot. Really? It's like the standard police check, because that's not great training.
Justified. But again, we may find out more, and if the gun was discharged, the scenario gets more complicated in terms of what that officer might have reasonably believed in terms of whether there was a risk of death or great bodily harm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of concerning that the federal government comes out immediately after this occurred and accuses the guy who was shot here of basically attacking federal officers with a firearm. When the video, every angle that I've seen it, does not show that Mr. Petty, or however you pronounce his name, ever used a firearm during his interaction with the officers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's no way to describe what many of our high-level federal officials did in the immediate, and I mean within minutes or hours aftermath of the shooting, as anything other than despicable. Because it's very clear that people like Secretary Noem and Greg Bovino came out and said things that are utterly false. And Stephen Miller, of course, called this man an assassin. J.D. Vance retweeted that. All of these things are being done with very clear political purpose that has apparently no connection to reality. Because whatever you can see in the videos, it's none of those things. I have not seen any angle in which Mr. Pretty reaches for his gun. Certainly never has his gun. For much of the video, he's holding in his phone. In his hand a phone that he's recording people with. You're getting a lot of sort of online commentary from the right about how he was interfering, obstructing. If you watch the video, I mean, the problem with interfering and obstructing is that the statutes are written so broadly that the government can do just about anything if you kind of step between them and what they're trying to do. I think there's still, and this goes to the further need for additional factual development, we need to know why, for instance, that CBP agent was shoving the woman down. That seems gratuitous to me, and I'm not sure of a good justification for why. That's when Mr. Pretty gets involved in the first place and he gets maced. He's obviously not trying to strike the officers. He's trying to de-escalate the situation. He's then thrown to the ground and all the rest of it. And at no point during any of that did he try to reach for the gun. Did he have the gun in his hand? Did he shoot the gun? And so for the federal government at the highest levels to come out immediately and just say things that are blatantly untrue and had no basis in reality at all is very frustrating. And I think it just plays into the problem that we have in the sort of social media age where everybody watches these videos the second they come out, and they're always, cell phone videos from a distance and first, and there will be many, many more, and tries to form a belief, and the beliefs often are sort of calcified around their priors. And so, like I said at the very beginning, as someone who's looking for government abuse, I can find it in that video. As someone who's looking for a justification because they like what the government is doing here, they can find something to talk about. That doesn't mean that either side is right or wrong at that point. But the frustrating thing is for the definitive statements of people that are supposed to be in positions of authority, positions that are given, in my mind, completely incorrectly, deference to come out and say these sorts of definitive things that we find out are completely untrue is really something that we should be more concerned about than we seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario where somebody actually brandishes a gun or pulls out a gun, threatens to shoot, or does shoot at police officers is very different than if somebody is just filming and shouting at police officers and just happens to be armed with a gun that was never taken.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, I'm a Second Amendment guy, and if he would have pulled the gun and pointed it at ICE officers or bystanders, I'd be the first one to be like, it fucking sucks. Like, can't fucking pull a gun with a bunch of federal agents standing around pointing at somebody. I don't, this is just insane.
Taken out of the holster.
Right. And I think another frustrating thing about, this is an example of something we've been seeing with this muscular federal presence in the immigration space is.
Yes, they used to have a minimum. So they call it like FLECT, Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy, FLECT. Anyways, it used to be, at one time, it was like, they've shortened it, okay? It used to be 5 months. 5 months was the initial training academy. Then it went to, 5 months, because that would have been the 22 weeks. Then it went to 8 weeks, and they shortened that even further to 47 days. And I don't know, they go immediately out on the street, like fucking just get assigned to a team or whatever, or if they've got fucking, in the military, we did a, what'd they call it? Right hand, left hand seat trade-off something. I don't know. Where you like, when you come in to replace a unit overseas, and this unit has been doing what your job is going to be when you get there. So let's say they patrolled fucking Baghdad, and your unit's coming in to patrol Baghdad. You go out with them on several of their missions, and both units are out at the same time, so they can show you, like, this is a problem area. We always get shot from over there. Fucking snipers like to hide in this building. This road blows up sometimes or whatever. Or if they're just thrown to the wolves, I have no idea. But 47 days does not seem like... In fact, there was an issue with their AI bot that was helping them do the hiring on usjobs.gov. If you put the word officer anywhere, if you put, I'm a mall security officer, or I want to be an officer, or my dad was an officer in the military, because it's like an essay style fucking application now. If you put the word officer in it, their AI bot pulled your application, automatically kicked you over to only a 4-week online training, and classified you as former law enforcement. So if in your essay, when it says, how do you think you can help Trump to be a better blah, 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 whatever, you wrote, well, my dad was an officer in the Air Force and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, that you automatically got spent to 4-week online remote learning former law enforcement training. That's insane.
Is that you will we'll see these conversations about what happened.
I keep getting fucking contacted about their sign-on bonus. I guess they know I'm poor and prior military. I don't know.
Happened. And if the person who's justifying the shooting is pressed and they have to give up ground, they just keep retreating and never admitting that, okay, maybe you have a good point. Maybe there's something here and we should give this more considered idea than just saying, nope, it's definitely justified and let me come up with 6 reasons. And I think another example of how far gone that is in the hours after this shooting, you went from seeing these federal officials come out and say things that are completely untrue about this man being an assassin or some sort of Marxist hitman or whatever it is. And then once all of that was slowly but surely disproven, and the question of what happened became much more one of, well, maybe they just screwed up and there's some sort of explanation of, well, it was a huge mistake. They say instead, they make these pronouncements like that U.S. attorney from California of, oh, actually, you should never bring a gun to a protest.
If I see another conservative in real life that shared a meme that showed Alex Preddy and Laken Riley, I'm going to kick them in the fucking teeth, okay? Her murderer is locked up for life. Convicted and locked up for life while the public cheered it on, saying, yeah, he should be. While these same people are arguing that, no, they didn't do nothing wrong. That's their job. Their job is to execute people that show up at protests. Idiot.
So it's really your fault. If you have a gun anywhere within eyeshot of a government official, it's your fault if they kill you.
That was the argument I heard today on Connor's stream.
There's some sort of explanation of, well, it was a huge mistake. They say...
Yeah, the NRA made a statement saying, while we support everybody's Second Amendment, blah, 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 you lose that when you start assaulting, attacking, impeding, rioting. What? Right? There were like 4 people there. There were more ICE agents there than there were anything else. What riot, bro?
Instead, they make these pronouncements like that U.S. attorney from California of,
it was so early in the morning, there wasn't even protesters out.
oh, actually, you should never bring a gun to a protest, so it's really your fault. If you have a gun anywhere within eyeshot of a government official, it's your fault if they kill you.
Never bring a gun to a protest. Never bring a gun to a protest. Remember, you can't bring guns to protests. That was the argument I heard in Connor's stream today. Well, if they see it on you, you're probably going to get shot.
And not only does that sort of show their inflexibility in being willing to admit that a mistake may have occurred or that this was an unjustified killing, but it goes to show you that they are willing to throw out your rights, whether they're Second Amendment rights, First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights, at a moment's hesitation if they think it stands between them being able to do something or them being wrong.
I mean, how many opinions would be different?
Imagine someone saying, well, you can't speak or make noise at a protest or the ICE agents might shoot you. Well, you can't refuse an illegal search or seizure at a protest because ICE agents might shoot you.
Here, if instead of an ICE agent that were an ATF agent at a Second Amendment march or protest, where a Second Amendment supporter who's armed but not otherwise threatening the officer with a firearm, just holding a cell phone, even shouting at the officer, even blowing a whistle. Under the same circumstances, how many people who support this past shooting would not support the same exact factual scenario just with an ATF officer and then a victim they sympathize with as opposed to one they do not sympathize with?
Yeah, and that's the greatest frustration for me or anyone who sort of takes a principled approach to the Constitution. There are people, I think, who are strong Second Amendment supporters who themselves do not like guns or want guns or own guns. And, we need to look to those people in these times. And the same can be true about the First Amendment. There are going to be, atheists, of course, who will support the right for people to worship and things like that. And those are the folks that tend to sort of hold the torch in these dark times, because I've been saying this since before this happened. In the waning days of the Biden administration, the ATF changed some of its regulations on firearm sales and transfers. And based on those changed regulations, then executed an early morning raid at the house of a man named Brian Malinowski.
Is there, her hand does look kind of fucked up. I saw that video. Is there a picture of her actually picking up a flashbang and it going off? I know that was a story, but a lot of people don't know, try to pick up CS gas grenades, like tear gas grenades or whatever. They get hot as fuck. They'll burn the fuck out of it because it doesn't look like her hand's like blown apart. It looks like maybe she burned it or maybe her fingers are broken or something. I've seen the video of her running and falling down. That's the video I saw, but.
Who was the director of the Little Rock Airport. And those agents shot and killed Mr. Malinowski in his house because he thought that he was being robbed or otherwise attacked by unknown people in the dark. And that was because he had been exercising his Second Amendment right by keeping arms. And the government decided that it wanted to make some strange example out of him because of this changed regulation. And they went in his house and they killed him. And this was a huge cause célèbre for the right. People like Tom Cotton and Josh Hawley and Jim Jordan were up in arms, rightly so, about this. And it was very frustrating to watch because there was a hearing that was held by Congress and it was opposed by a bunch of Democrats at the time. And Stacey Plaskett, I think, was chairing it from the Democrats, and she was shouting about how outrageous it was that this hearing would be held the week after Police Week because it belittled the actions of our brave men and women in law enforcement. And it was kind of in that moment, before seeing what we've seen now, the sort of bizarre world experience as someone who deals with government abuse and police issues in particular, to watch Democrats use the same lines that Republicans would normally use if you want to look at this through that partisan lens. But it was a real learning experience, and now we're seeing the roles reverse again. And so when you say how can people think this way, because imagine the ATF, so yeah, of course that's wrong and it's ridiculous, but they don't even have to imagine it. I can send you a news article about Brian Malinowski being shot in his house by the ATF, and I don't understand either why people can't so easily see that what they're doing here is building weapons that their enemies will use against them.
What about the fact that people say, yeah, but this is different because these people are going out?
It's 100% a training issue, okay? So one thing you got to realize, when someone gets pepper sprayed, all right, everything goes into like fucking flight or fight mode, right? And you're trying to get your eyes, somebody hasn't been pepper sprayed before is trying to get their eyes, they're trying to rub them, they're trying to fucking do something, it hurts, they're probably gonna fucking tense up and ball up. 7 fucking ICE agents, 5 ICE agents, 3 ICE agents should have been able to cuff this motherfucker before they even found out he had a gun, dude. This should have been patting him down, and he's like, oh, yeah, I got a firearm back there. He doesn't know who's grabbing him or what they're doing or whatever. You just got to force him into compliance, right? He's going to try to ball up. He may even try to fight you. He doesn't know if it's you or a crowd or a random person or whatever. He can't see shit. And I'm sure they weren't yelling very, they weren't very articulate in the commands, right? They just fucking yell a lot. No one can understand what they're saying. Like the woman who they busted out her window because they're yelling different shit at her. They should have been able to get his hands behind his back, throw a couple zip ties on him, and stood him up before anybody even knew he had a gun. The fact that they spend like a minute and a half fucking wrestling with him, and one guy's got his hands down his pants trying to take his gun, and half the guys have their gun out and half the guys don't, and it's just fucking insane. It's 1,000% a fucking training issue.
And they're actively trying to obstruct federal officers. I mean, they're not just protesting, they're physically obstructing federal officers, and they're doing that armed, and that's different. I mean, what's your response to that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the law is the law in terms of obstruction and interference with law enforcement, whether it's state or federal, and you definitely don't have
I don't know if it's a carcinogen or not. But the reason they put green in it is to help the ICE agents and the prevailing wind to know where they placed it and where it's going. That's the reason that there's colors in it sometimes.
Have any sort of right to use a gun to interfere or obstruct. That being said, having a gun while you're out in public, while you're out protesting, is itself not anything inherently wrong, and is something that's protected by our Second Amendment. And of course, it has to be. And so I think when you hear these sorts of statements, it's not, and this is true with many of these things. There's something to it from a legal perspective, but people are throwing these things around because they see them as an easy way out of it.
It can't be good. It can't be good for you. Obviously, it's probably bad for you. We had to go yearly into the gas chamber or whatever, but ICE agents are getting hit with it a lot too.
A harder problem, which is, of course, if someone comes out on the street and points a gun at a CBP agent and gets shot, he's not had his Second Amendment rights violated. But when someone comes out and, like you said, shouts at or films a CBP agent, which of course are things both protected by the First Amendment as well, and then they're killed, and the after the fact justification is, oh, well, while we were doing this, we found a gun, and that justified to some degree or another our decision to kill this person, then that implicates the Second Amendment too. And so to the point you made, we would not have seen this sort of, at least from the partisan battle lines that we see today, this sort of argumentation being made when, for instance, people with AR-15s were standing out in front of the Michigan State Capitol when Gretchen Whitmer was imposing, very questionable COVID restrictions. That is protected by the Second Amendment. So would this be protected by the Second Amendment? We've seen several videos now of people in Minneapolis simply standing outside open carrying firearms, and people on the right highlighting that as some sort of horrible, egregious, illegal thing when, to your point, if they had been protesting something else, the same people would be staunchly defending.
Some of those are just smoke too, right? So they have smoke as well. Smoke deters people, and a lot of people will think it's CS gas, even if it's not. Some of those are smoke. But it just, I don't know. Hard to tell. They're not telling anybody. They're just popping smoke.
Their right to do so, and correctly.
To me, the scariest part of this whole thing is the fact that these are federal officers wearing masks. We don't know who they are. Their employer clearly doesn't care to actually investigate things that they do to people. So what else can be done? These are federal officers, and as we've discussed before, it's pretty much impossible to sue them. Even if we find a new...
Imagine the man force they have, right? They have the manpower. They clearly have the budget. Imagine if they wanted to do this professional. Imagine if they wanted to do this with the least amounts of friction between the community, right? They come in, they shut down a block. They have a inner cordon, outer cordon. They go in, they get the guy, load him up in the car, and they're driving away. The only people that interact with anybody are the outer cordon, which is a block away from where they're actually fucking grabbing somebody out, and they just go on about their business. But that's not the point. The point is the fear. We come out of nowhere. We fuck people up. We'll shove you down. Fuck you. We'll run you over. We don't give a fuck. We want everybody terrified.
Video that shows undisputedly that it was an unjustified shooting. The family still likely could not successfully sue the shooter or shooters because they're acting on behalf of the federal government. Could you go into that some? And the fact that they're operating with a total, I mean, it's one thing to say, all right, they're enforcing the law. We don't armchair quarterback decisions by law enforcement officers that have to be made very, very quickly, split-second decisions and all that. We can't always judge them in 2020 hindsight. I mean, it's one thing to acknowledge that, but it's another thing to say we're not going to judge them in any way at all. If the feds don't want to do anything internally to their own employees, sorry, there's nothing that can be done at all. You cannot sue these people, and the state and local authorities cannot even prosecute those people criminally. I mean, there's zero accountability for whatever these guys do, and it seems like they know that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's several things I want to start with before we get into that, and now we're kind of zooming out to the bigger problem, I think. And so to start with, I think you're right. I mean, the federal government's not going to hold them accountable, and I think the statements that we've seen from people like Greg Bovino and Kristi Noem show that this is behavior that they want to encourage. I don't see any other way to interpret the fact that every time something at least questionable has happened,
so they have flashbangs. Flashbangs make a big flash that's kind of blinding, especially at night or in a dark room or whatever. Not as big as a boom. You have concussion grenades, right? That's the boom you hear. Boom, and it scares everybody, and they're like, what blew up? And people run away. If you're close enough, it can even disorient you and fucking make your chest feel weird and shit. Fuck with your head, make you feel like your fucking brain swimming. Then you have just smoke, and then you have tear gas or CS gas or some type of irritant grenade. And then you have pepper balls, right? Which is CS gas in a paintball form.
Immediate response before any evidence has actually been sussed out is for the government to come out immediately and full-throatedly supporting their officers and completely and totally treating as villains, calling.
Well, I think even beyond they're extremely hard to sue from the family. They still be held accountable, right? If they fuck something up or kill somebody. I think it's the they're dumb, right? The people that are signing up for this job are dumb. And the administration comes up and says, we'll support you 100%. We'll never throw you under the bus. We'll take care of you. You have absolute immunity. Do your job. Do it right. Blah, blah, blah. We'll cheer you on. They're dumb and believe that. They believe that. But the next fucking administration is not going to honor any of that, right?
Terrorists or agitators or whatever, the people who've been killed. And so I think the incentive structure is pretty clear for federal agents. And of course, the bigger problem is the lack of accountability. And I'd also say that as someone who grew up in a conservative Republican household and came to sort of the lowercase L libertarian position that he's at today from that perspective, it is very shocking to see people from that milieu now cheering the idea of groups of masked, armed federal agents patrolling the United States for any reason. This was historically a boogeyman of the right, and correctly so, because you had instances like Ruby Ridge and Waco, and you had
it's just
concerns about the things.
It's a brand new like fucking body count. You can just ban the account. It's no big deal.
That those bands of federal agents might be doing. This is something that violates concepts of federalism, and it, of course, is something that could lead to the violation of Americans' rights. And now, unfortunately, because armed federal agents are roaming around doing something that people on the right may or...
If the account is like super fucking new, they just did it to fucking troll and fuck off, it's fine. You can ban those accounts.
May like to one degree or another, there's a lot more excuse making for something that on principle should simply be rejected as something that would be anathema to our founding fathers. In terms of holding them accountable, yes, this is really where I think the rubber meets the road. And so a few years ago, in a case that we litigated at the Institute for Justice called Bird versus Lamb, you had a conservative judge, Don Willett in the Fifth Circuit, a conservative circuit, lamenting the fact that federal officers act in what he referred to as a constitution-free zone because there's nothing that can really be done to hold them accountable when they violate the Constitution. And you touched on several of those reasons, but I want to go through them to show to people just how completely insulated federal officers are. And one is, okay, well, maybe we can hold them accountable by charging them with crimes when they really act badly. So let's take this scenario and change it to be one where this officer is on video saying, hey, I'm going to go over there and murder this man, and then goes over and murders the man. So it's just as clean as it could be. There's no, disputes about what happened. Even under those circumstances, you're now left with a situation where state prosecutors, like you said, generally have a very hard time suing federal officers if their actions are taken pursuant to their federal duties. This stems from a case from the Supreme Court in the 1800s called In re Nagel, where a U.S. Marshal killed a man who was trying to assassinate one of the justices of the Supreme Court who recused from the decision in the case. And the Supreme Court basically said the Supremacy Clause means that, at least under some circumstances, state prosecutors cannot charge federal agents with crimes for conducting actions that are, quote, necessary and proper to their federal duties. And of course, there is some logic to this. We don't want to essentially allow states to make federal operations de facto illegal by simply arresting every federal officer who tries to engage in what is otherwise lawful behavior. I think that the Nagel decision has been read very lazily over the past century by the lower courts, and the Supreme Court has done very little to sort of rein it in. And so you see essentially the rule being applied is that
and we can't bet on the Supreme Court this go around at all.
As a federal officer, they can't be charged with a state crime. That's not actually true. I don't think that's true under Nagel. I think there are also exceptions that need to be made for Nagel, and one of them would be if an officer is violating the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause shouldn't protect him. But as the law stands today, it's extremely difficult, bordering on impossible, for state prosecutors to charge federal officers with crimes when the crime is committed pursuant to actions taken in the line of their federal duties. That leaves us with federal prosecutors who can, of course, prosecute federal agents. There's a statute.
Could you imagine a federal prosecutor trying to bring charges against, and how quickly the Trump administration would come down on them?
statute 18 U.S.C. 242 that actually makes it a crime, and the crime is capital if the victim dies, for a federal agent to violate someone's constitutional rights willfully. And the willfulness standard is basically the clearly established standard from qualified immunity.
The only good thing that comes out of any of this is, I wouldn't call it good. People are losing their lives, right? But they're nuking their chances at midterms. They have to fucking be, dude.
This is a statute that has been in place longer than the Department of Justice has existed. This is a Reconstruction statute alongside Section 1983. But the glaring conflict of interest, which of course is federal officials charging other federal officials with crimes, means that the statute is almost never used against federal officers. It's rarely even used against state and local officers. And so the big takeaway in terms of the one large way we could see accountability, which is prosecutions, is that prosecutors either cannot or will not prosecute federal officers when they break the law or when they violate your constitutional rights. And then that leaves it to us, the American people, to enforce our own rights. And I think that is a good system if it had the appropriate tools. But over the past few decades, the American people's arms have been tied when it comes to doing this, because while you used to be able to broadly sue federal officers when they violated the Constitution under what's called a Bivens cause of action, a few years ago in a case called Egbert versus Boulay, the Supreme Court took that away from us. And certainly whatever's left, it does not cover immigration officers, because the Egbert case was a Border Patrol case, and the court explained that one of the reasons why you couldn't bring a Bivens cause of action was because of that context. And so then that leaves us just with these sort of oblique, more novel ways of trying to get at constitutional accountability indirectly. And so the main one is a statute called the Federal Tort Claims Act, which had kind of been pretty derelict in terms of...
I think, I'm not super well versed in this, I'm not a lawyer, but Bivens is where you can sue a federal agent for money, like monetary damages, when they like fuck up your constitutional rights, right? They violate's the word I was looking for. Violate your constitutional rights.
Was because of that. Whatever's left, it does not cover immigration under what's called a Bivens cause of action when it comes to doing this, because while you used to be able to broadly sue federal officers when they violated the Constitution under what's called a Bivens cause of action, a few years ago in a case called Egbert versus Boulay, the Supreme Court took that away from us. And certainly whatever's left, it does not cover immigration officers, because the Egbert case was a Border Patrol case, and the court explained that one of the reasons why you couldn't bring a Bivens cause of action was because of that context. And so then that leaves us just with these sort of oblique, more novel ways of trying to...
Bivens does not extend to create cause of action for Boulay's Fourth Amendment excessive force claim. Declining to extend Bivens to Fourth Amendment excessive use of force claim and First Amendment retaliation claim. That happened in 2022. I'll have to read up on this.
To get at constitutional accountability indirectly. And so the main one is a statute called the Federal Tort Claims Act, which had kind of been pretty derelict in terms of doing what we now need to do with it, which is hold accountable federal law enforcement officers. And that act allows you to bring claims for torts, which for non-lawyer listeners are kind of the legalese word for harms. And you bring the claims against the United States itself instead of against the individual officers. And so this is a very oblique way of getting at constitutional violations when you're someone like...
Yeah, I was telling my chat about it, Fell Runner. I was telling my chat, I was like, damn, I showed up and I literally checked the timestamp. I was there for 9 minutes. He's like, you've been pissing me off all morning. I don't know. I was like, damn. I thought I was going to get banned showing up in chat. But the argument that it was crazy that if a federal officer sees you with anything that looks like a gun on your body, he's probably going to shoot you. That just happens. This happens. Cell phone, mag light. And then fucking, what's his name? Not Connor, the other guy, is like, what about all the people who get shot for their cell phones? Yeah, it's a bad shoot. That's a bad shoot. Someone getting shot for their fucking cell phone is a bad shoot. Holy fuck. Insane. Well, I know personally that officers, even if they remove one gun from you, they just automatically assume you have another gun. If you move, they're going to shoot you. What? In what world? I don't know. That was a wild stream. Thanks for saying hi, man. I'm gonna try to attend some more. I like Connor. I hope Destiny gets a hold of him and straightens him out on this specific issue.
Like the family of Mr. Pretty, who's now probably going to have to bring a Federal Tort Claims Act case where they say, you committed assault and battery, et cetera, instead of you committed a Fourth Amendment violation. And then at the end of that process, if successful, you will get damages from the United States for those harms.
You have a right to keep and bear arms except in the area of federal law enforcement officers. If they see you, you're dead.
not for constitutional violations. The another thing about the Federal Tort Claims Act that I know all too well is that it's absolutely larded up with special requirements and pitfalls and exceptions and defenses, and it really is a minefield because it was never designed for this purpose. And now we're left with that being the main and kind of almost, as it sits today, tool for federal accountability. There are other novel arguments that we're advancing at the Institute for Justice, but none of these has caught on yet. And so we're kind of scrambling to figure out what, if anything, can be done when federal officers violate individual rights. And to the point that we started off on, that means, like Judge Willett said, that these officers effectively are operating in a constitution-free zone, and their employers are cheering them on, and that means that they're going to behave.
And not only are they cheering them on, saying, we back you 100%, you've got immunity, we'll protect you, you're not going to be, we're not going to make you the fall guy, blah, 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 right? Usually, at least, I would think, there's a chilling effect when an officer goes down and other officers think, damn, I've done that, or I've been close to that, or, I could see myself doing that. I didn't know that there was, it could lead to this, blah, blah, blah. There is nothing like that now. It's just a fucking hot furnace they're throwing coal into. I'll support you. They're fucking domestic terrorists. You were protecting your life. You're a hero. The brave men and women of ICE. Bullshit, dude. There's no oversight.
Poorly, because that's what happens when someone has power that's completely unchecked, and the decision about whether someone who annoys you lives or dies is just completely up to you and your discretion. And so something should be done about this. Congress should do something about this, for instance, by amending Section 1983 to allow constitutional claims against federal officers. And people on the right should want that because, like you said, and we talked about, it's so incredible.
Yeah, I got that feeling from him when he started talking about when he was a cop or whatever.
Easy to imagine this being done from the left to the right. And
it was fine. It's not like I'm saying, like, I'll never come back or some shit. It was just, it caught me off guard as soon as I jumped in, and they're like, well, anything that looks like a gun can get you shot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, I carry every fucking day and a spare mag every fucking day. I can't show it on live stream. YouTube will take it down. But I carry every fucking day. I've put it in pre-recorded videos. You just can't do it in a live stream. But, like, what if I had a flashlight or a keychain or what the fuck?
My fear is that in this current, polarized political environment, that we are in this sort of ugly race to the bottom, tit for tat, where whoever wins the next election, if they have a D next to their name, they will figure out how to wring as much vitriol and violence as possible out of the government to punish their critics. And we need to do something to stop that. And I think the something is to fix the law so that it applies equally to everyone, regardless of whether they're a Republican or a Democrat or on one side of the aisle or another, and regardless of what type of federal agent is violating what type of constitutional right. All of them are constitutional rights that are protected, and all of them should be enforceable.
Are you guys at the Institute for Justice interested in representing?
I could just, this is the scenario I set up in my head. Let's say we have a guy down handcuffed on the ground, and before we pick him up, there's two officers. I'm an officer, and there's another officer there, okay? And I'm holding him at gunpoint, and he's got his handcuffs on, right? He's handcuffed or some way restrained, right? The other officer starts patting him down and, like, pulls a gun out. And he's like, oh, look what we got here. Got a little gun here. The officer turns around and goes to set the gun on top of our police car. And I'm like, bang, 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 bang. And the other officer turns around and he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, second gun. You always got to know where there's one gun, there's a second gun, or something that looks like a gun. Sounds like a fucking SNL skit. What is that?
The Pretty family, should they reach out to you in filing a lawsuit here potentially under the Tort Claims Act or whatever other cause of action is available?
So we can't openly offer representation because we have a review process that has to be approved by several different internal checks. But I can say for sure that I would be very interested in speaking with the family about what happened, and we can talk about it from there. The same goes for anyone who's a victim of arguable federal abuse or state or local abuse. We want to hear about these issues because through our Project on Immunity and Accountability, we're focused on tearing down the obstacles between Americans' rights and remedies for those rights when they're violated. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you think that that's happened, please reach out. You can go on ij.org and you can contact us by submitting a statement through the website. You can find me on social media. You can find my email if you Google me. We're a relatively small organization. We have a little over 100 active cases right now across the United States. So, some people are frustrated that we can't fix every problem, and, I'm frustrated too.
If you really want ICE doing their fucking job, why couldn't 7 guys for what, 2 minutes restrain one guy? Like I said, this whole altercation, let's say he did assault an officer and he impeded and he deserves to go to jail and blah, blah, blah. They should have had him handcuffed, stood up at the car and patting him down before they even knew he had a firearm. 7 guys? I can take 3 guys and literally carry somebody away. We could just fucking just ruck march him to prison.
But at the end of the day, we can only do as much as we can do. And when you're dealing with doing strategic public interest litigation, you have to pick and choose your cases. I would certainly like to speak with the Pretty family. I would like to speak to other people who've been affected by these sort of very muscular actions of federal law enforcement officers across the United States that we're seeing. And unfortunately, I think we're going to continue seeing them until there is something that happens. And what
I really wish is these super fucking annoying goddamn pricks that are all these Second Amendment auditors. I wish they weren't super MAGA. Almost all of them. Almost exclusively, they're like hardcore fucking MAGA because that's like that pro-gun and fuck the government party. It's not, but that's what they got in their head. I wish they would fucking follow around us. It would be like fucking 10 minutes and 2 videos before they just randomly started shooting at people, and someone would have to come in and stop them.
I'm hoping happens.
People drive me crazy. I could imagine being an ICE officer.
Is that the federal courts step in and
I understand what they're doing is technically a good thing and making sure people get their rights and overzealous cops and blah, blah, blah. But goddamn, they're annoying.
To this by ensuring that there is some way to hold accountable federal officials, because what I don't want to happen and what I'm genuinely afraid will happen is that this will devolve into, the sort of Leviathan of people shooting it out in the street. And, one of the reasons why we have a legal justice system is because people need to feel that there is some fairness in the system sufficient to stop them from taking justice into their own hands. And in the country with the Second Amendment as a sort of as something hanging over.
I'm trying to figure what all 7 guys were doing. Right. I understand one was bashing him in the fucking head. He had one guy for each appendage. Plus, I don't know what the fuck they were doing.
For us all, for the purpose of keeping everyone polite. I think we need to focus all of our energy on solving this in a way that does not resolve.
That guy that was on with Connor, I can never remember his name, but I debated him once on Wick's show. That was the guy that we were debating some documents that were released by the Trump administration and Tulsi Gabbard, and it was supposed to show that Obama and interfered and he was going to prison and all this shit. And finally I got to like a point in it and I said, well, this is it. She said this is in it and it's not. And he's like, I bet it is. And I was like, no, it's not. And he's like, which documents are you talking about? And I said, pull it up. He didn't have them downloaded. He hadn't read them. He didn't fucking look at the documents, nothing.
To violence and instead
he read her statements on the documents, but didn't read any of the documents.
To the cases being adjudicated by a neutral judge and someone who can simply weigh the facts and decide whether what justified or prohibited by our Constitution.
Speaking of judges, I also wanted to get your take on this argument that I've seen online about administrative warrant entries by ICE as opposed to actually having a judicial warrant to enter.
I want to hear about this too. Administrative warrants. We've never allowed these for entering a home.
A home in America.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect.
Yeah, it was him and Gibbs, and it was a whole lot of bad faith, red herring. What about Hunter Biden? Just fucking stupid shit.
Segue, because that's another problem that is just absolutely jaw-dropping for someone, again, who is not just a civil libertarian, but came from the conservative right. Because using the same example that we just talked about, if they can come into your house without a judicial warrant to search for an illegal immigrant, they can come into your house without a judicial warrant to search for a gun that they want, or a bump stock, or a high-capacity magazine, or whatever.
Or anything.
And you can find other examples that aren't just guns versus immigrants. You can pick the sort of, the game of Clue here. Of
imagine the ATF starts signing administrative warrants thinking that you have an unregistered silencer. So you're saying without a judge involved, with none of the steps we've always held dear to like search warrants, they're just going to fucking start kicking down doors? Get fucked, dude.
Mr. Mustard with Colonel Mustard with the candlestick, but the principles are the same. And it is absolutely shocking to see the Department of Justice come out with a secret memo being leaked saying, actually, no, ICE agents can search houses without warrants. And to back this up a little bit, this is not anything that's actually new, and it shows how pretextual the legal arguments are, and we can get into those in just a second.
And then what's his name? Guess who used to watch me, I guess now watches Gibbs and Grid or whatever, come in. He's like, man, you lost so bad. You lost the debate so bad. Both those guys are millionaires. Okay? If we were in a count money contest, I guess they won. I don't know what to tell you.
But when the president was trying to invoke the Alien Enemies Act earlier this year, there was another memo that leaked from Pam Bondi herself that effectively said the same thing. It's just that instead of talking about capturing illegal immigrants, it was capturing people who were subject to the Alien Enemies Act order.
I like Connor. I've seen him a lot as just like a Destiny Orbiter or whatever they call him. I like Connor.
Scenario where they said, okay, well, you can have these administrative warrants. Here's an example of the warrant. And for those who aren't familiar, we're going to call these things administrative warrants. These are not warrants. I refuse to call them warrants. They're not the warrants that are considered in the Fourth Amendment. These are pieces of paper that are signed by one ICE agent to give another ICE agent approval to go into someone's house. And
exactly. It's not a warrant. There is no review. There's no judicial review. your buddy signed a letter that says, yep, we're going in there, then why even have warrants in the first place?
In the same way that I could write on a piece of paper, John's allowed to go into a third party's house, these warrants have no actual merit to them. And they are called warrants because the government is trying to make us believe that they're doing something they're not, which is following the Constitution. These are warrant-shaped objects. And the importance of warrants, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly said, and it's just simply common sense for anyone, is that you need a neutral person, a neutral judge to weigh the evidence.
Not another ICE agent or your boss, right? Literally, the reason we have a judge looking at evidence or at least claims enough to get a warrant, right? You have to meet a threshold to get a warrant is the exact reason that like cities go down for like good old buddy like warrants, right? Where you just know the judge and you play golf with him so he signs any warrant you put in front of him and people get in trouble for that. Or you just saying, yeah, we think immigrants in there, sign me a warrant, coworker.
And decide whether it's appropriate for you, an executive branch officer, to do the thing. That's why warrants are required in the first place. Historically, we have a Fourth Amendment because in a case called Entick versus Carrington that it was decided by the King's Bench before the founding, the King's men were just going under general warrants into people's houses and searching their papers and houses and effects and all the things that are listed in our Fourth Amendment. And we didn't like that. Even by the time of the founding, the British courts didn't like that. And so now for us to be devolving to that essentially where they can just say, well, I think there might be an illegal alien in there, so I'm just going to come in and toss the place. That should be horrifying to all of us. Even if we think every single illegal alien or every single immigrant should be excluded from the United States, and I certainly don't.
All right, that's all true. Somebody wanted me to zoom in. Here you go, Michaela Robertson. There's all the guitars. That's the best you can get from me. And because there's delay, I'm going to be gone before you tell me to do something else. And then I think is that one?
One Republican candidate for governor is dropping out of the race over what's happening with the federal crackdown in Minnesota. Madel made the announcement on X this morning. Take a look.
I love Minnesota. I was born and raised here. My immediate family lives here. My extended family lives here. It's my home. I decided to run for governor because I firmly believe that Minnesota needs serious and systemic change. Fraud is rampant. Our streets are unsafe. We need to honor and respect law enforcement much more. Our education results lag behind Mississippi. Our taxes are absurdly high, and we're losing great businesses and people because of those taxes and ever-increasing regulations. I believe Minnesota has seriously lost its way. Since I announced my candidacy on December 1, I am extremely proud of what we've accomplished. I started as a relative unknown candidate and emerged as a leading Republican contender in less than 2 months. Honestly, we've accomplished more in less than 2 months than I ever dreamed possible, and I cannot thank my friends and supporters enough for getting me here. You've been there for me, and I will forever be grateful. But today, I announced the end of my campaign. I have two primary reasons for this decision. Number one, I cannot support the National Republican's stated retribution on the citizens of our state, nor can I count myself a member of a party that would do so. I support the originally stated goals of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement's Operation Metro Surge in locating and deporting the worst of the worst from our state. And I've seen many examples.
I don't think anybody, so they try to, the administration tries to spin this too. It's like, oh, they were there to get a rapist who only rapes orphans, babies, and puppies. And you had this lunatic show up to do maximum damage. No one's trying to keep rapists here or drug dealers or murderers or any of that. That's not what you're doing, is it? Right? This is not what you're doing.
Examples of ICE arresting non-U.S. citizens in Minnesota convicted of serious crimes, including murder, rape, and child sexual assault. No reasonable person should want these people.
Looks kind of like my toe.
People here, and I am glad that they are gone. But Operation Metro Surge has expanded far beyond its stated focus on true public safety threats. United States citizens, particularly those of color, live in fear. United States citizens are carrying papers to prove their citizenship. That's wrong. ICE has authorized its agents to raid homes using a civil warrant that need only be signed by a Border Patrol agent. That's unconstitutional.
That's insane. That's insane. Again, Republicans all about protecting their guns, and apparently they're all at home now because you can't bring them out if you're going to have some type of interaction with a cop. If there's a chance you're going to run into an officer, you better just leave your gun at home because they will shoot you. That's the new excuse. So all their guns are at home. What are they going to do when the ATF says, oh, we're using administrative warrants now for search warrants?
Weaponizing criminal investigations against political opponents is unconstitutional, regardless of who is in power. Republicans and Democrats alike have engaged in this misconduct, and both must be held to the same standard.
You can't say I lost them in a boating accident, which was my favorite excuse. All my weapons were in a horrible boating accident, because what if you run into a fucking water cop, right? A fish and game officer. They're going to shoot you on sight for possessing a firearm.
Need to do better.
Now, Chris Mattel also said national Republicans have made it nearly impossible to win a statewide election. On the Republican side, it's still a competitive race with a dozen candidates, including businessman Kendall Qualls, House Speaker Lisa Damith, and MyPillow mogul Mike Lindell.
Fucking Mike Lindell's crackhead ass. You guys remember when he got in a pillow fight in the elevator or something at his symposium because he didn't have the evidence that he promised, so then he claimed some guy jumped him in his elevator? Oh, that is wild. I got one for you. I got a couple for you right here, chat. First of all, I think we haven't covered Scott Rogers in a long time, okay? It's been a while since we covered Scott Rogers. And I'm not covering Scott Rogers tonight, but who's to say this isn't his soulmate?
What time is it? 4:05. Dragon Joy. Yeah. More time. And you're in danger. Cause now it's time to meet the Green Ranger. See, I'm a bad boy. The kind that the ladies like. Green with evil. You can see it right in my eyes. Martial arts master. Bring him up disaster. Pick his yellow ranger. I'ma give it to him after it's warm and done. You're in danger. Cause now it's time to meet the Green Ranger. Green Ranger.
By the way, they're all dressed up. I don't know. If you look in the mirror, they're all dressed up here.
You're in danger. Get down, time to meet the Green Ranger. You're in danger. Get down,
Costume contest. This is Bert's last role on the strip before COVID shut it down.
What time is it?
Leroy Jenkins, baby. And then I got one. I really want you to focus on this video and see. This is the last video of the night. Okay, I won't hold you any longer. Support the show if you want to. At Just Quick Tools. That's where all my links are, where you can donate. Leave a message so I can read it live on air. I like shouting people out if they're going to send me money. Anyways, there's one more that I want you to take something away from this video. I want you to pull something out of this video and take it with you tonight into your hearts, into your minds, whatever. This is our, take this with you, okay?
I thought my cyst was done draining, but I just woke up and it looks like it popped again overnight. Sick. So let's see if we can squeeze some more gross stuff out. At least I remembered my gloves this time.
I can't not watch. I'm sorry.
Ew.
Can't.
Ew. Wait, hold
Wait.
on. Dried pus.
Wait.
A little bit of pus right there. Do you see that?
Wait for it. God damn. Did I have my tongue out? Did I have my tongue out? I felt like I had my tongue out.
I am in shock. I cannot. There's like a puddle. It hit my phone. Oh, Lord. What? Where's Isaiah 190?
It was like gravy, dude. Dude, one time, me and Brian got in this big fight. So I had staph one time. And it was like, you know where your butt cheek meets like the top of your leg? And if you got a dump truck like I do, there's like a little fucking, there's like a little crease there. I had a bump in that crease, okay? And it was just constant. This is when I was in the military too. And it was just constantly getting irritated. So my wife, Mariah, and me and my wife, Mariah, and I was trying to get her to pop it. And she was so scared of me getting mad that she'd just get, and it kept getting bigger and bigger. It was literally like the size of a quarter. Like I grabbed it with all 4 fingers, okay, back there. But I couldn't see it. And I couldn't bring myself, like I was shaking, squeezing. It hurt so fucking bad. So Mariah wouldn't squeeze it hard enough to make it pop. And it was like, I would have to pull my shorts up like a thong. Like I had like Ranger panty shorts on. I'd have to pull them up like a fucking thong so she could get a hold of it. And she would be like, I can't do it. It hurts you too much. I don't want to make you mad, right? Okay. Well, then my mom came over. My mom and dad came over to do something. We were cooking out or something. I told my mom, and I was like, somebody's got to do something. It's going to have to be popped or some shit, right? So I pulled my shorts up. We was in the bathroom. And my mom went to pop it, and I was like, just fucking squeeze it, just do it quick. And I was like fucking holding on to the sink, like shaking. And Mariah made the mistake of laughing. And poor Mariah, I blew up on Mariah. She got upset or whatever. But my mom squeezed the shit out of it. And something came out of it, like a fucking, the top of it or whatever. And my mom's like, ooh. And she showed me like this little thing. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that's all that's in there. So she had basically busted it open, like kind of popped it. And I reached back and grabbed hold of it like as hard as I could get all my fingers around it and squeezed as hard as I fucking could. And I swear to God, something like the hole it left was like the size of a dime shot out of there. And it looked like an alien fetus. Like in my mind, obviously it didn't, but it was like purple and bloody and fucking and pus. And it looked like it had veins. Like this motherfucker, it looked like a little baby alien. Anyways, I have a pretty decent immune system. So I like fucking patched it up, threw some alcohol on it, patched it up, threw a sticker on it. I had to go back to my unit. We were getting ready to deploy. I had to go back to my unit and back out to the field in like 2 or 3 days. So I just kind of patched up or whatever, and I left. And we were getting deployed to Iraq, I think. Anyways, I left, and then like a week later, I got a call from Mariah, and she got staph. I guess from my staff, and she had to go get fucking an IV and fucking injections, all kinds of shit. It was bad.
This took a turn. Put this here.
God, there's so much lady gravy in there. Look at that.
Oh my God, this is...
That looks like KFC gravy, dude. I should know. I worked there for almost 2 days.
What do I even do with this? Yuck. I need to bring over a trash can. I can't believe there's still so much more in here. Sick. We're gonna keep going.
It's horrible, but also awesome, right? She had a doctor take a culture of it. I think I haven't seen any of her recent videos. I saw when she first got it, it was just like a small irritation. Then it got a little bit bigger and it was getting irritated and her shirt was making it irritated. She's also breastfeeding. And at one point, her baby like scratched it or something and probably had all kinds of fucking shit under its nails and infected it or whatever. She had a culture done. And the doctor said they could do surgery to remove it, but where she's got a small baby and breastfeeding, she doesn't want to have surgery right now. So she's just trying to follow the doctor's advice and drain it often and all that shit. The color of Scott's bed. Yeah. The Scott Rogers special cappuccino. God damn. That's a leaker, baby.
This is insane.
See why I wanted you to take this with you? I had to look up how she got it. What if I want one? I've seen people bleed out less from gunshot wounds, dude.
Oh my God. I'm gonna run out of gauze. Also, this is making me feel nauseous.
I made everybody in chat one time watch this guy who does like these nasty, like decrepit feet that are like rotten and shit and have sores on them. And one of the videos we watched, it had like wraps on it for like 2 years. He hadn't washed his feet, taken a bath, and he had a puppy. So the puppy went outside and brought in fucking maggots, dude. He had goddamn maggots up in there. I made everybody watch that with me. I'm going to send this to Mariah as soon as we get off here. Mariah hates shit like this. She'll like physically gag, and I think it's funny to send it to her. Only if it's like a jump scare one. If she gets a warning, then she'll just not watch it. But she pops all the bumps like on my back and shit. The ants. God, he had an ant colony in there.
I can't believe there's still more.
That's a lot to drain out of that.
But it's like blood. Do I stop?
Oh, no. It's back to gravy.
This is just...
Oh, lady gravy.
A lot flatter now.
To ovarian biscuits.
A ton of gross stuff out that was stuck, I guess. On the bright side, it doesn't smell like it did before because I took the and the drugs are working.
I took the drugs and the drugs are working.
That was Elon Musk, wasn't it? Took the drugs and the drugs are working. I don't know if she's got an update. We can try. I've only been looking at older videos.
I think she's ready for another pop.
It looks a lot better, honestly. Jump scare.
Gotcha, bitch.
All right, you sickos. I think she's ready for another pop.
She tells the story of how she got it somewhere here. That's what I was looking for. Maybe this one. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to load.
Welcome back to another. Wait, I'm so annoyed right now. So my cyst opened up last night and drained again. Got some incredible footage of it this morning. Like it literally shot out and hit the camera. But I'm part of the creator program on TikTok. And God forbid a girl try to monetize this. Like if I'm gonna have to go through this, I might as well make a buck. And so my video went viral. And of course it got disqualified because it's graphic content. So if you want to see more of this supposedly graphic content, follow my page and that at least supports me in some way. I don't know. I'm just annoyed. God forbid I get paid 8 cents per 1,000 views. 8 whole cents.
Maybe that wasn't it. I thought there's one here somewhere where she explains like it started irritated, baby, something. Is it this one?
This is round 2 of draining my cyst.
God damn, there's just a lot of that.
Things that Google will convey. Being a woman should be enough. All right, all you sickos out there that wanted to see this getting popped. I didn't record it getting popped, but I'm going to change my dressing. I'll show you my incision. And if you're lucky, I'll squeeze a little more out. Honestly, though, it was gross. As soon as he nicked it with the scalpel, it immediately started pouring out. And I'm not kidding. He probably squeezed it for like 5 to 7 minutes. Stop it. Babe, I don't want your help. What happened? Are you sad mommy's leaving?
No.
I just wanted her to tell the story.
Ow. Please stop.
God, it looks huge there, doesn't it?
Love you. Love you. I love you, family. Get ready with me for a C day. Kind of like D day, but C for cyst.
Oh, see ya, Fell Runner.
We're gonna get it right. It honestly hurts so bad that if I didn't have like some humor around it, then I would probably just lose my mind. I'm just doing a little bit of skincare. Tomorrow's the big day. I have my appointment at 10:30 in the morning. Some breastfeeding advice sounds helpful. I did not expect that video to gain any traction.
It looks like an abscess. Sometimes you need surgery to get everything out because it will keep coming back. Yeah, if there's like a fucking sac in
I
there.
was just recording something.
Sebaceous cyst or something.
Any background. It is a cyst. It's confirmed. A bunch of people said it could be HS. It's not. I've had 2 MRIs, 2 breast MRIs, which showed the cyst. They've been measuring it and tracking it because I have a family history of breast cancer. So when this first popped up, they were like, let's keep an eye on that. First started really inflamed.
So she is seeing a doctor. It's not like she's doing it herself.
Because I'm breastfeeding and my baby grabbed it, which is gross. But that kind of started this like inflammatory cascade where it
So a baby grabbed it.
breast cancer. So when this first popped up, they're like, let's keep an eye on that. First started to get really inflamed because I'm breastfeeding and my baby grabbed it, which is gross. But that kind of started this like inflammatory cascade where it like just continuously kept getting bumped and like the inflammation couldn't go down. I've been on a round of antibiotics. I've had 2 steroid injections. They're going to start me on another round of antibiotics because if you can see, it is getting worse. The inflammation is spreading over this way. Like the inflammation used to be just kind of like up and down, going up this way, but now it's spreading over here and it's really red. So there's a concern that it's turning into cellulitis. Did I mention I'm breastfeeding? So Monday can't come soon enough. Thank you everyone for your concern and for your kind words and for your prayers and well wishes. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for Monday. Did I mention that? I can't wait for Monday because this is...
There's like a capsule on a lot of cysts that you have to get it out or it'll just sit there and fill back up with shit again. It's like dead white blood cells and old skin cells and shit that just fills up that makes like the pus or whatever. It's actually your body fighting and trying to contain whatever it's fighting, right? It's like trying to contain like dirt or whatever got in there. It's trying to contain it in like some type of sac. That's why you get a bump or whatever. All right, guys. Take that with you tonight. In your dreams, I guess. Hold it close. Hold it dear. You never know when that may be the last time to see a sebaceous cyst on some big old jubblies. Okay? Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Support the show. Just quick tools. Join the Discord if you're not in the Discord. Don't carry anything that could be confused by as a gun within 100 feet of a federal agent, apparently, because they'll just kill you on the spot. And have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Stay warm. It's fucking freezing here, dude. We have not got above. It is 52, and I've had both heaters on full blast for about 6 hours in here. I'm going to have to leave it one running, and if you guys the water running, it's going to be fucking 3 or 4 tonight. Get my damn jacket back on. I think it's getting colder.
This douchebag happens to see this particular show.
I don't like to stream in the jacket because if I get like animated or whatever, then I'm sweaty and I fucking try to take it off. And last time I wore a beanie, you guys called me Tim Pool. So I'm just kind of fucked. I just got to be cold now, I guess.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
Oh, I didn't know we had Tim Pool on the show tonight. Tim Pool. I get it.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic.
The dislike button is always welcome here, too. That is right.
In a sixth sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need cheese.
Oh, no. I'll just be fucking cold.
All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip, worshiping Trump.
You guys never asked me, like, why you're wearing the beanie. It's because I don't wear pants when I stream.
He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong.
I'm in, like, the 2nd or 3rd degree stages of hypothermia. And you guys are like, oh, Tim Pool. Oh, Tim Pool.
Alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage.
I think I'm going to build a ballroom.
Buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you
Gotta get a new lip pillow.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders. They ringing his bell. You got frog.
Good night, guys.
No damn reason.
I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, even though it's cold apocalypse or whatever.
Second string and they acting like they know.
I will be extremely reckless going home, but I'll be thinking about you.
All this nonsense on my conscience.
Good night.
Hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this time of the night? These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing in reason with no meaning is bullshit. We'll burn, mother.